We wanted to take a minute before this podcast kicks off to let you know that a member of the Tulsa rock and metal scene, John Holata, and his wife, Kasey Holata, were in a automobile accident a few days ago. Yes. It was quite scary, but they both made it through. They had a lot of injuries. They had surgery. They're going to be okay, but it's extensive injuries, and it's going to be a long healing process. John's the guitarist for Screaming Red Mutiny. He was also in the Tulsa area band, The Joint Effect. He's got a lot of friends, a lot of fans, and there's good meaning for that because he's an amazing guitarist and an amazing human being.
Yeah, definitely. One of the things that stuck out, he pretty stoic, pretty quiet guy, but kind. And then, after that set at Rocklahoma, we went and hung out with him, and he was the first to, give us a big hug and a big high five. So that was really cool. And, send all your prayers and your vibes out for these guys. Just like Trent said, they're going to be great, but they've got a long road ahead. So, just one of those things. They were in a pretty bad accident. So, and this is a terrible time of year for that to happen. So, just send all of our love.
Yeah, and you can also, if you have the means, to help donate, even $1, helps. It doesn't matter what you can do, a little or a lot. You can go to, youcaring.com, and it's a long address to try to spell out here for you. But if you just go to our page here on Facebook of this, of this podcast, we'll have it in the comments. But if you go to youcaring.com and type in John and Kasey Holata, I think you'll find it.
Yeah.
Donate a few bucks. Anything would help. And like Jason said, keep them in your thoughts, your prayers, good vibes and everything. And we hope for the best. And we look to hear more from John down the line. Welcome to episode 100 of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name is Trent. I'm here with Jason. Here we are.
We hit the century mark.
We did it.
It's great, man.
Yeah.
Number 100.
Yeah. A long time coming.
Yep.
It took us we started in May. First episode was early May or mid-May of 2015.
Yes, sir.
A little over a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of cool. Episode 200 will be mid-2017.
Yeah.
I mean, 2018, sorry.
Mid-20, shit.
Yeah.
We got some work to do, huh?
Yeah. Knocking them out 2 a week.
Nice.
But yeah, I think we got here in a good pace because, we had a good span there where we were pumping out 2 episodes a week, and then we went back to 1.
Yeah.
Because it got a little over, time consuming, I think. But
yeah, it did.
But we're back at the point now where we've got a few in the bank, so we might be doing that here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And that's fine. Like we've said through most of our 100 episodes, we can do what we want.
Yeah.
So if we want to do 1 a week, we'll do 1 a week. If we want to do 2 a week, we'll do 2 a week. If we want to take a break, take a couple weeks off, we'll do that too. But we'll always come back. Don't worry about it.
Right. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about the first 99 episodes leading to this point.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to talk about the theme of this episode, which is Severmind.
Yes.
Excuse my voice. It's kind of coming and going, it feels like. But
all good.
Severmind, we decided, let's just talk about this real quick before we're going to play some of their music as well.
Yeah.
We decided to have Severmind as the 100th episode because actually Derek approached us and said, hey, what do you think about us being on the 100th episode? And we were flying around some ideas with a couple, people that we had talked to about doing interviews, and
yeah,
thought that'd be cool for an 100th episode. And when he approached us about it, we just talked to each other, thought, well, that's a no-brainer.
It really was.
Because when we look back, Stacy and Derek were from Severmind were on our 11th episode.
Okay.
So they were basically the first band that, that was on this that we didn't really know beforehand. Like we had Scott and Jana from Down for Five and Rocket Science.
Yeah.
As our first guests, basically. And but we've known them for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we had 9 from Dead Metal Society, who they kind of introduced us to. And then Derek and Stacy were the first people that we kind of just
went in cold.
Yeah. That we met from going to one of their shows early on after we started, the website and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer because we've championed them throughout this process because we love this band And the flip side, they've done the same for us because they'll share random episodes that have nothing to do with them, whether we talk about them or not. They'll share our stuff. So we thought this is the perfect band to have on our 100th episode.
Yeah,
because they're a regional band.
Yep.
Sorry to cut you off.
You're good, and you're right. I mean, this is the quintessential, to bring it back around, bring it full circle. I think the relationship and the friendship that we've formed with Severmind is great. And that's not even the right word. I mean, I can't think of a better word for it.
Right.
And, their music, the way they do things, this is just a perfect fit for 100. It's a perfect fit to, mark this milestone. And, it's just like, all I can think about is, seeing Bunnies of Doom back at the Eclipse back in the day.
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, and it makes me really proud. And I feel fortunate. So, I mean, this is just, it's a great moment. It really is.
Yeah. And all four of these, you mentioned Bunny of Dooms, all four of these guys have been in the Tulsa scene, since we were kids.
Definitely.
In
definitely.
one shape or another. And, we didn't know him personally until now, but we saw Bunnies of Doom a few times. We didn't, see the other bands that these guys are involved in, I don't think, except for Pitbulls on Crack. But anyway, it's kind of, so like I said, it's kind of cool and makes you feel good to be sitting here and these guys are still doing stuff. We're doing stuff now.
That's right.
So here we are. But before we just keep going, let's just play some of the music. What we decided to do is we each picked our favorite track from Imminent Misfortune, their most recent album.
Yes.
Thought would play those two tracks. We're going to play one now and play one here in a bit. So we're kicking this thing off with Dying Dream. Dying Dream, of course, from Severmind. What do you think? That's your, I didn't announce it beforehand. These were our two favorite songs. That's your favorite song.
Yeah, that was my pick because one, I mean, it's, you know, hook for days.
Yeah.
You know, melody, hook. I love it. I love the guitar melody, excuse me. I'm a guitar guy. I play guitar. And I love Stacey Lane's playing. The solo's badass. You know, and this was, if I'm not mistaken, this was kind of the first thing they did when Stacey came into the band.
Yeah, I think they talked about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, and it's funny because that's, you know, the song that I really gravitate towards. So I really wanted this song to be featured. It's just a great hook, a great riff, and this, you know, and it just kind of, it goes into the fact that this band, it just kind of encompasses everything we like in our metal, in our hard rock. And I get, once again, that's why we've got them on our 100th episode. That's why we're featuring them. That's why we champion this band. You know, this band has all the melody and the riffs and the hooks, but it's also got the brutality and the grimace and the gruff, you know, and, you know, it's got the groovy stuff like the COC and the Black Label Society that we love, and it's thrashy like, you know, Megadeth or Metallica. And, you know, I think that's why you and I...
Big choruses like...
Yeah, big choruses.
Your 80s stuff like Maiden or something.
Exactly. And, you know, me and you, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we both like. And there's a lot of stuff that we each like separately. And we kind of look at each other like, what the fuck is going on? But... But this is one of those bands, you know, be it from here or not, be it that we know them or not, it doesn't fucking matter. This is one of those bands we both dig, you know, and this song just encapsulates all that. So that's why it's my pick. And I'm really proud to have that on the podcast today.
Yeah. And it's got such a cool chorus. That's another thing they do with most all their songs. All the choruses are real memorable. The other thing, like, I was kind of going to say the same thing you did about the band in general, is that they encompass so many areas and bring it all together just in this great metal sound. It's kind of hard to pinpoint and say what, if you're trying to describe them to someone, which is a great thing. It's always good when you got to try to think about it. It's a little like this, a little like this, a little like this. And I think that probably is a testament to where all these guys come from. They have their metal roots, but, you know, we hear in this interview that, you know, Chris has blues roots, you know, Derek's death metal roots, and even Heath the same way. Stacey comes from that kind of punk background too, with Bunnies of Doom, but he also has the metal roots as well. And I think when you put all that together, that's when stuff like this happens.
Definitely.
Well, do we want to get into the next song, or do we want to talk a little bit before we do that?
Hey, let's just roll out this next song, yeah.
All right. Well, this was my pick. This is Loose Screws.
Before you condemn me, listen to my story. It's a tale of glory and despair. Friction built from my frustration, fueling all this hatred, flowing through my veins. Patience is my intolerance. I feel like I'm lying. All I see is red. This shit was nothing ever changes. Reliving this nightmare each and every day. Wait.
Loose Screws from Severmind off Imminent Misfortune. I picked that just because I think one of my main things that I like, I kind of mentioned later in this interview, was how Heath has a lot of different vocal styles throughout their music, and especially on this album. And they talked about that. I expanded more in this album. And this song does a great job of combining all that into one song. You know, he's got the clean melodic stuff in the chorus. And that's my favorite chorus on this album. That's kind of why it sticks to me. And then, you know, like when it opens, it's just pounding. He's got the rough vocals. And, you know, he just kind of covers that whole gamut of like almost death style at times. Almost, you know, and he goes into like the Hetfield style stuff at times. And then
Yeah.
even the COC Archias stuff at times, and the melodic stuff. So it's just cool to bring it all together. And I just love how this song just like jumps out, pounds in the face. It's got a phenomenal guitar solo. And then that chorus, you know, just, I walk away singing it for, you know, 2 days. So that's what you got to love about music like this.
Yeah, it brings it on home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I like there's some deathier things in there in the vocals. And, yeah, dude, screws are just coming loose.
Right. Well, if you're listening to this and you're not familiar with Severmind, check out Imminent Misfortune. You can buy it from them. You can find it on Spotify. It's a great album. You can listen to things straight through, which means hashtag all killer, no filler.
That's right. You don't need to skip at all.
Right.
If you skip through this album, you suck.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And they're a live band that is phenomenal. So just get out and see them if you're in the area.
Yeah.
They play around Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas. And like they talked about in an interview, hopefully next year they're going to try to do that more, expand more.
Definitely.
So just if you get a chance to see them, do it, because they're really a band that shines live. And most people, you know, that we know, that we've met throughout this podcast, that are fans of Severmind, they always talk about that, how great of a live band they are.
Exactly.
How excited they are to see them again, that kind of thing. They've got fans that come to every show, so I urge you to do that if you get the chance.
And that's the thing is, when you see these guys live, they've got a presence and they kind of go for the gusto, and you feel the passion, as maybe Rob Halford would say, the metal passion. You feel it from them, and it's a pretty special thing.
Well, like we've talked about with them before, you always get a feeling like you're watching someone that should be
Exactly.
on a way bigger stage than they are.
Yeah.
You know, not to knock where they're at or where they're playing, but I'm just saying, when you see them in a small club, you think, I should be seeing this band, you know, in an arena opening for Iron Maiden. That's just that's the presence they bring.
Yeah.
The professionalism they bring.
Fuck opening for Iron Maiden. They should headline the arena.
Well, there you go.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I think another thing I wanted to mention about them is that it's great when, you know, you got 4 guys in a band that all excel at what they do, and you're kind of drawn to all 4 of them for different reasons.
That's right.
You know, when Derek's back there playing the drums, you know, he sits still. It's like Gene Hoglan, you know, sitting still, but like his arms are flying everywhere.
Yeah, that's
you know,
right.
it's like really cool to watch. And, you know, and of course we've talked about Stacy and Heath, and, you know, Chris is just up there doing his thing, and they all draw your attention. It's not like one of those bands where you're focused on one dude, you know.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we're going to get into this interview here in a bit, but since this is the landmark 100,
That's right.
we figured we should look back on the 99 just to kind of see,
Yeah.
talk about it ourselves, what we like.
Let's reflect a bit.
Yeah, there you go. Let's paint a picture for you all.
Why not?
Real quick overview, if you're just now listening. We decided to start this, you know, just because we always talk about music amongst ourselves. A couple people had mentioned that we should do this kind of thing before. You had mentioned a few times we should, so I just up one day, bought her a microphone and said, let's fucking do this.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. I mean, you you know, here's my thing, and, you know, I think we kind of, you know, Severmind, in this interview, they kind of turned the tables on us and asked us a couple things. But I'll just go into it real quick here is, we started back 20 years ago just doing little fanzines, putting them at Starship or Mohawk Music, whatever, here in Tulsa. But, just this past couple years, we've really got it back going again. And we always had it in the back of our mind. And so it was just a thing of, I thought, let's just record something on our phone or whatever and put it on YouTube and just see how it sounds, and that's kind of where I was. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, you call me up, hey, I bought all this shit. I bought this microphone. Let's just do it. And I'm like, holy fuck, and so, we just kind of jumped into it big time, kind of a little bit grander than I thought. And, it worked. And I mean, my thing is, for anyone out there listening, Trent is the one that, the technical side of it, the booking side of it, he's got it down. And, my thing is just, I appreciate, being able to kind of ride along on this. So a lot of thanks goes to you, man. It sounds cheesy, cause I'm getting a little corny, but I don't care. So, a lot of work that is put into this is from, Trent here, and I appreciate it. And we've gotten some people on this podcast I didn't even think we could get on this podcast. And it's just been a crazy ride, and it's, nerve wracking at times. But it's always amazing, and it's always special. And I mean, I could go, I could list off, tens of names, but I mean, they've all been awesome. And, it's just been really cool. National, local, it doesn't matter. It always surprises me,
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Like I said, I'm glad I'm doing it with you because, you've been my friend forever. We have a lot of common interests when it comes to this kind of music.
That's right.
We've talked about music forever. That's why it was so natural to start doing this. So here we are. Going back to what you said about starting it in 96, and we did that, basically that paper fanzine thing for about maybe 2 years at the most.
Yeah.
And then we tried again. You remember that, like 2 or 3 years later?
We did kind of.
I started if anybody remembers GeoCities, I started a GeoCities website.
GeoCities, fuck, I forgot all about that.
So we tried to enter the digital age, or the internet age, basically with that. We messed with that for like a year or two.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of dormant up until about, I don't know, a couple years before we started the podcast. We were doing the Facebook and online thing, Twitter,
the Instagram page. Yeah.
So we would do, the best of throughout the year and just do reviews and, pictures and talk about crap. So it kind of evolved into this, which obviously took the full focus.
Yeah.
And, I think looking back on the podcast, the first, we talked about Scott and Jana, and then Nine and Derek and Stacy. And then the first one we did, I think early on, was someone that we had been fans of.
Yeah.
Besides, obviously we're fans of those people I just mentioned. But I mean, fans of, like, as a youth, basically, was Jason Gilardi, because
yes,
we're big fans of Caroline Spine, and he's still in the Tulsa area. He's in Dead Metal Society with Nine. So that was really cool. And that was the first one to me that made it seem like this felt more real than it was.
Yeah.
Because we're talking to someone that we had went and saw when we were like 17 or something,
Exactly.
And then kind of step into that was, right after that was, Kyle from Battlecross. Exactly. Which was the first one, which was a national band that we are both fans of currently, for the past several years. And that's what kind of opened the door to everything else, because we had a name, and then it kind of made it easier to step into, like, saying, hey, we've done this and this. So then more people started being open into it. Exactly. And then if I'm just keep compounding on that, Joey Allen from Warrant was the first one where it kind of got to the point to where I was like, nervous beyond belief because I'm like, we're about to talk to someone that the first concert I ever saw.
Exactly.
A guy I loved when I was 12 and 13.
Yeah.
And here we are about to talk to this guy for our podcast. So then that's kind of, after we did that, everything just got easier.
Yeah, it definitely did. And I mean, I think, you know, you talk about Battlecross and Warrant, and, you know, those really helped us cut our teeth on this whole thing. And, you know, not to say that we're masters, because, you know, you can never learn enough. You can never, you know, stop getting better. But I really think that, you know, I really, in the realm of, you know, this music that we love and what we're doing here, you know, I'm really glad you brought up Battlecross, because, what they opened us up to and what they continue to do, you know, they might not even know it.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
you know, but because there's probably guys in every town that want to talk to them and stuff like that, you know. But, you know, the fact that, you know, we keep a dialogue with them, when they're on tour, and the fact that they're absolutely 100% accommodating anything we want whenever they come around. To the fact that, you know, this past weekend when we interviewed Tony from Battlecross, we were in the venue and Gumby came up to us, you know, and that just shows, you know, what we've been able to do and the relationships that we forged. And the same thing with Warrant. I mean, just the fact that it's a guy we love, you know, it's a band that we love since we were like 12. And, you know, that band was so just welcoming and just chill and down to earth, and, you know, pouring us drinks and smiling and just answering any question we had. That means quite a lot. And, you know, if this thing gets, you know, no matter how many episodes we do or whatever, those two bands will always, you know, as different as they are,
Yeah.
you know, those two bands will always, you know, have a special place in my heart and our hearts. And, you know, they helped us out immeasurably. So that's definitely something I wanted to mention, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Besides the obvious, I mean, we mentioned that Warrant one early on and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Like, what's your most memorable one, you think? Whether it be because of the experience of it, or whether it be because you just thought it was a great interview. Like, I know Mark Torian's a great interview, but Kirk Winstein was a great interview as well, but it's a different experience because,
Yeah.
you know, we got to go hang out with this dude on his bus, you know, that we're big fans of, that kind of thing.
Yep. You know, I don't know that I could narrow that down to just one thing.
Right.
I will definitely say Mark Torian, because I admit I was kind of didn't really know much about the Bullet Boys, and I was really, really pleasantly surprised at how nice and how just genuine and how positive Mark Torian was and how welcoming. I really enjoyed Fist of Rage.
Yeah.
I really, really like any time we get to hang out and see those guys play. You know, Shooter Jennings was special, because once again, it comes down to, you know, in me, especially just individually, I'm awkward, I'm socially weird, I'm shy. And so it's just weird for me to it's weird for me to go to Quick Trip and get a soda and talk to the guy at the counter. And so to be pushed into these situations, you know, I really get a lot of anxiety, and I'm like, this guy's going to hate us, or, you know, maybe we shouldn't be here. And I know I've mentioned that before, and maybe it gets old, but fuck it, I don't care. You know, this is our 100th episode, I'm going to talk about it. But, you know, for guys like Shooter Jennings and Ian Moore and, you know, Kirk Winstein, and, you know, for them to be, you know, Reed Mullen, just for them to be so nice and, you know, welcoming and accommodating, it blows my mind. And, it just kind of reaffirms what I've always thought about this music as a whole. It's all inclusive. It's there for, therapy. It's what we need to get through our lives. It's what rescues us. It's what saves us. And, just meeting all these amazing people, it just drives it home, and it tells me that, the path I chose when I was like 13 was the fucking right one. So, that's just kind of where that comes from. And I just mentioned a few names. We could mention a million names that, or, well, probably 100 names, that have been on this show that have just really drove it home for us.
Yeah. I think for me, the ones that like, if I jump, we talked about that. I don't remember if it was on the recording or not at the end.
Yeah.
I said Reed Mullen, but I think my two most memorable ones, just based off of the way that I felt they went, was Reed Mullen and Shooter Jennings. Just because it was just weird how natural that conversation with Shooter Jennings went.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I didn't go into it like thinking it wasn't going to be good or it was going to be weird. I just went in there hoping it was a good interview, a good talk, and it was one of the ones where you forget that you're recording, and it just felt like you're just hanging out with someone you've known for 20 years.
Yeah, you forget that you're recording, and you forget who the fuck you're talking to.
Yeah.
I mean, I had it's well, you're right. I mean, I'm stammering, but it's just like, I didn't think anything. Oh, wow, this is Waylon Jennings' kid.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that we've loved for 10 years, every fucking record he's done. It's just the way he set it up. It was just so comfortable.
Yeah. And that, and the same with Reed Mullen, because it was one of my favorite bands, and just talking to him, and he was the same way. Just real easy to talk to, real natural conversationalist, and, just kind of pulls you into it, and you kind of forget that, you're what you're doing, basically, and that's a good thing. And when you look at guys that we've met through doing this, Sprout from Spring Red Mutiny, and King Shifter is another one. We sat down with him when he was still in King Shifter.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the same way, because, this guy is just like such a personable human being. And besides that, he's hilarious. And it's just like, it's just kind of hard to keep your concentration on what your questions are, because the guy's so funny, and so that was really cool. And Steve Ray is another one.
Oh, yeah.
That when you look back at what we talked about with Jason Gilardi or whoever from the 90s and Bunnies of Doom.
Yeah,
Steve Ray was another guy.
It's such an honor in a way, It's like, it's just insane.
That as kids in this area, we, grew up seeing pit bulls on crack several times.
Dave Cantrell, another one.
Yeah. I just pulled this list up just to name off a few names. Having Sid Falk, come and sit in my dining room for a few hours.
Yep.
I mean, who would have thought, that whenever I was 14, that the guy from Overkill was going to come over and talk to us for a while.
Yeah. I mean, and we were listening to those records when we were 14. And he's in your dining room.
Right.
And, and he's, it's just insane. Yeah.
And then we've got, we had a couple good ones with Jamie Welch from Framing the Red. And he's not with them anymore, but both those episodes have a lot of listens because he's a passionate dude. He's got a lot of fans. And
he held nothing back.
Yeah.
And that's really something you could admire.
We had, who else do we have? We had Ryan Neff from Miss May I, which was a band that we kind of learned about, from doing this. Cause, we kind of avoided the metalcore genre for a while.
We did.
And there's several bands now that we've discovered thanks to this.
Yeah.
That are really good. And Miss May I is one of them. So that was really cool. And that was sorry.
No.
I just want to point out that interview was the first time I ever got the chance to go backstage at the Canes Ballroom.
Yes.
I know you did back in the day when you played there, but
I did.
So that was very cool to be able to finally see that.
Well, go ahead. No, or can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just thought, by the way, yes, I have been backstage with Canes before. It's awesome. Am I? Okay, just kidding. Anyways, that was another one, Ryan Neff, that was really cool because admittedly, that's one of those ones where, hey, we've got an opportunity to do this. Let's do this. And I'm like, oh shit, I kind of have to cram now. And, I did. we did, and it turned out great, and you kind of learned some stuff along the way, and, you realize, even that he might even picked up that we didn't know exactly what was going on, but he was still gracious, and we still learned a lot. That was definitely one that I enjoyed. It sticks out.
Sitting down with Wino and the members of Spirit Caravan, that's another one where it's kind of like, we're talking to this dude that's like a forefather of the doom metal genre. And
that was insane. I can't even, yeah.
We got to talk to two of the guys from Soil, who I've loved forever. We got to talk to Kyle Sheff from The Sword, Kirk Winstein twice now. That's That's another one that is just an exceptional human being. His wife, that runs the show, his band members, everybody's accommodating. They're great people. Yeah. The type of people you can sit down and get lost in conversation with the same way.
Exactly. I mean, that was another one where we didn't even need to talk about Crowbar. You could just talk about metal.
Right.
Or hard rock. And the fact that, just like you said, their whole operation, Robin, I mean, they were just opening, just so open and so welcoming. I mean, you couldn't ask for better experiences. You really couldn't.
Yeah. Ian Haugland from Europe. That was another one that was really cool. Just talking about this guy and his history, and that band.
Yeah.
And, Delacoma was great. CJ from Drowning Pool. That was another one.
That was a pretty special one.
That dude's the same way. You just kind of, you feel like you know him, as easy as he talks to you and as accommodating as that band is. And, Lenny Lashley from the Street Dogs.
Yeah. I mean, that was, we love the Street Dogs. I couldn't believe we had a street dog on the podcast.
Right.
How badass was that?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed, one thing I really enjoyed was the Attic chick.
Yeah.
Because, that was like just completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we had her on talking about her book, and, hopefully when her next book comes out, we'll have her back.
Definitely.
And you look at, the other bands that we've, had on that we've met through doing this, like Grind. You mentioned Fist of Rage, The Devil You Adore. I Apollo's another metalcore band that we came across. That's a bunch of young kids that are great. Mike from Driver, Scott Bond from Death Grip.
Yeah. We've had
Sam and Chris from 3D in Your Face.
Mike DiPetrillo, we've had on a couple times.
Yeah.
And again, that's an early supporter. They support us, we support them. Driver.
Yeah.
That's another one you can't put a value on that. It's just amazing.
Definitely. The guys from Crane Technique, Mike Ariza was another early one.
Oh yeah.
He was actually the first person we did online.
That's right.
Through Skype. Well, actually that was Google Hangouts at the time, but,
now it's twice we've had him on.
Yeah, we had him back on with Jeff Sandoval, and they have a EP that they do together, and they were also both in the Frank Hannon band for a while. We have had on Scattered Hamlet 3 times.
Yes.
And those are all 3 of those, have absolutely hilarious moments. Great to listen to.
And that's one of those now we've had on. It's just like, we can just turn the mic on and just tell stupid ass stories.
Right.
There's such a rapport. It's just, again, one of those valuable things.
Yeah. Mark from Trickster. That's another one from
definitely
when you go back to our youth, it was really cool to.
Yeah. And it was a pretty interesting interview. Go check that one out.
Right. We've had on John from Sons of Texas twice. Jess was on here from Sons of Texas as well.
Yep.
That's another great new band. Great interviews from both of them. Elias from Nonpoint. Machine in the Mountain is another band that we discovered through doing this that are absolutely phenomenal live.
Yeah, insane. You have to check them out.
Richie Cavallera from Insight's been on here twice.
That's right. Yeah, we got to send a shout out to that for sure.
Yeah, another great band that's an up-and-coming thrash style band. If you like Battlecross, like we mentioned, you'd dig some Insight.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Ted from Death Angel.
Oh, man, that was legendary in a way.
Another guy that we kind of came across through doing this was Eric Kluber, even though we had known or been a fan of bands that he was in previous to this.
Yeah.
You know, just not unsure of who he was, I guess, at the time. I don't know. But, you know, we liked Gypsy Hawk. We liked White Wizard. But he's also got Void Vader and Iron Knot now. Both those bands are great. Of course, Chris Broderick from Act of Defiance, who was in Megadeth for a long time. Had on Eddie from King recently. Chris Green from Taiketo and Rubicon Cross was on here just a couple weeks ago. Steve Blaze from Lillian Axe was on the last episode.
That was a good one.
We had on the guys from Guns for Roses, which was a Guns N' Roses cover band out of Dallas, which travels the world. We had on Johannes from Avatar.
Oh, man.
That's another pretty interesting one.
That was crazy.
Mark Kendall from Great White. That's another one that goes back to my youth of, you know, just being really excited that, you know, this kind of stuff, these are the kind of guys we're able to get on here, you know.
That's right.
But we've also done several episodes where we just talk, you know. Those are fun as well. And so anyway, I think we've rambled about that a little much, but
it's okay.
There
It's
you
our
go.
100th. We're loud.
yeah. We just figured we'd take time to take a look back on it. I think this wasn't on the actual recording, but towards the end, when we were getting ready to leave, Derek asked, you know, something about that, you know, like getting to this 100th episode, that kind of thing. And I said that it wasn't really something like most people say when you start out doing something, you don't really think about it or think it's going to get to that point.
Yeah.
We just started doing it, and 3 or 4 episodes turned into 25, turned into 50, and here we are, you know. So it's kind of, just kind of happened.
Look at that.
Yeah. So now it is a thing. So now 200, 300, that is a thing that's in sight, because
That's right.
we're like, okay, we really are doing this.
We are. We are. We're going to get to Nerdist status someday.
Yeah.
They're like at 700 or 800.
How often do they put them out?
Couple times a week, once a week maybe.
Oh, okay. I figured it was more than that. But all right, well, I say it's due time that we get into this interview with Severmind.
Yes.
I mentioned this on here as well. I think we've said their name on this podcast probably as much as any band.
Exactly.
And that goes with the reason is what we talked about earlier, because we're big supporters. We love them.
Yep, they're amazing.
All right, well, so do you think that we've said Severmind more than we've said you know?
At this point, we may...
Maybe in this episode.
Yeah, well, you know. Oh, I just said it. Shit.
Yeah.
Just roll the tape.
All right, here's all 4 members of Severmind.
What did you guys think about Steve Vai? Since we all went to the same show,
That was awesome.
it was great, man.
I really liked. Oh, I'm good, thank you. Though. I really liked him playing along with.
not?
Petrucci and
Petrucci and Satriani.
Satriani and Tommy Emmanuel and
and when they started Passion Warfare and they had the whole Brian May thing, you know, I got goosebumps.
that's right. I forgot about Brian May.
That was really cool.
he does it.
How did I forget about that?
Yeah,
Jeez,
that was pretty awesome.
it was cool.
That guy's
a
a magician.
And then I loved the fact that he did the Zappa thing too.
Yes,
That was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Man, if you listen to that stuff he does, it's out there. That's at a young age when he was playing with Zappa. You know, the guy, he's just a magician. I've seen him a couple times, never like that. I saw him with David Lee Roth.
I did
Didn't
too.
Even Smile.
I did
Billy
too. I
Sheehan
saw him
and
with
Greg
Billy
Cincinnati.
Sheehan. Yeah.
And that was like top tier, over the top, crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, sticking a guitar between his legs and doing slides on his pants, and they laid down on the floor. He threw his guitar down on the floor and laid down, and Billy Sheehan put his bass on his back. And he was down there playing it, and he was up on his back going. It was like, okay, I'm done.
You know,
We'll go get a beer and come back. This is just like, my mind's melting right now. But just showmanship, just, you know.
the thing that because I saw them, they came on that Evening Smile. They came here I mean, of course, this tells you showing my age here. I mean, I remember I went to that, and you're right. It was awesome. But the thing that I was so disappointed was, and this happened to like at another show, actually too. But what was the drummer's name? Greg Bissonette.
Greg Bissonette, yeah.
So at the end of the normal set, before they come back for the encore, so he's doing like this solo thing on the drums, and then he walks off. And then the double bass thing is still going. So I mean, it was like, okay, well, did you act? Were you playing the double kicks, or was that the tracks that were playing the? You didn't know. And for me, I was like, oh man, that was a deflator right there. You know, and it happened too when I saw Heart. Took in the late '80s, I guess it was. Took my little girlfriend at the time. Little high school girlfriend. We went and saw Heart, and
was
it was
she a barracuda?
Trying to remember. I think she was. I can't. That was so long ago, dude. I can't remember. She could have not been. But it was the same deal. At the end of their set, they had the drums going, and it was a double kicks, and then the guy got up and walked off from behind the kit, and I was like,
What is that?
what?
Tease.
I'm not much for that.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed with that, but anyways, but yeah, Steve Vai was it.
Yeah.
Guys, I was like,
He's crazy.
I was pretty blown away. Of course, and I saw Dream Theater. I was telling these guys I saw Dream Theater 3 or 4 weeks before that.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that, Steve Vai is like more like savant-ish about his playing. It's just and like John Petrucci is more. I like Petrucci's
technical and clean.
Yeah, I like he's to me he's cleaner and all that stuff, and I mean it was great to see both those guys within 3 or 4 weeks of each other.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah,
so,
that's exactly.
Makes you feel.
Major guitar.
I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go home and sell my shit.
There's no reason to play anymore.
Yeah,
This makes me play more.
There's that one. It's on one of Steve Vai's home videos or whatever, where it's got like him and Billy Sheehan and Tony McAlpine because he's playing keyboards, and then Dave Weiner, and they're all lined up together, and they're all like playing each other. Just
The Texas. That's at Eric
it's
Clapton's
on the Crossroads
Festival.
and they're all
I've
playing
got
each
that on
other's.
DVD.
oh shit.
I mean, and it's just insane. It's like how
you're
did
right.
they even come up? I mean, I don't know how they even worked that up. I mean, I can't even begin to fathom.
That's just them guys are just
what it took to do that, And
on another level.
yeah, it's called "I'm the Hell Out of Here." Look it up on YouTube.
I'll check that out. That's wow.
It is a spectacle it's actual spectacle. It's like
Yeah, like you're sitting here and you're picking this guy's guitar. And you're doing the fingerings on your fretboard, and the other guy right here is doing the picking on your guitar. It was insane.
That'd be yeah. Well, and the story. I didn't. My buddy that I went to that show with, he came back and told me later the next day. I didn't know the whole story with that Dave Weiner. I didn't know the story with him that he was actually Vai's paper boy.
Yeah.
And then he was delivering the newspaper, and then he. I mean, what a trip to find out. Hey, the guy on your newspaper route is Steve Vai.
Yeah.
So he went and gave him a demo tape like several weeks later, and then a few weeks later after that, Vai called him and said, "Hey, do you want to be in my touring band or whatever?" And the guy's been with him since like
wow,
I don't know, since 2000 or something.
15 years.
A stroke of luck.
And he can do anything Vi does because they got to double everything. It's insane. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy, man.
I mean, looked into it. Was he that good before he started with Vi?
I don't know. Yeah, who knows? It's probably both. He probably was really good, and then, wow, what a luck! I'm delivering newspapers, and the guy on my route, Steve Vai. I mean, come on.
Who's this Steve Vai?
Steve who?
Got this guy on my.
Collect this bill from?
Yeah. Got a check from this guy named Steve Vai.
That was a pretty high-end, swanky-ass neighborhood, though.
I'm sure it was.
His home studio is out of control.
The good thing it was then, because if it's now, Steve Vai probably doesn't pay for the paper anymore. Yeah.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Actually, you're right, man. It's
technology killed the radio star.
Right. See, that guy would have never had a job.
Another job hacked by the internet. He used to be the paper boy, man.
Paperboy won't get his $2 now.
Oh, my $2.
All right, guys. Well, I'm sorry. We'll turn it over to you all.
I
Sorry.
hope that there's not going to be
Are we on?
small
We're on
interruptions.
there.
I have no Wi-Fi. I don't know. Does that matter? Because my cable
Wi-Fi.
just took a shit
We're out of
today.
here.
That's it.
I came home. All I did was unplug the phone jack.
Really?
to
Yeah, he
plug
likes
it
to
into
get
the-
on YouPorn while we're doing these things.
Yeah, okay, I was just fixing to say. No Wi-Fi. Gotta
You
go.
go ahead and eat up that bandwidth while you're.
Hold on. His neighbors got it. We'll stream it. Let's
I
get a
like
little
what I
closer to
like.
the neighbors.
Sorry, can't help it.
I already tried the neighbors, but they're nothing.
Locked?
Everything's locked.
Oh, damn bastards. Lock the Wi-Fi.
Including this one that says NSA/TPD. What does that mean?
NSA.
NSA.
That's the name of my
That's
wife.
what his is. NSA and NSA 1.
FBI 2.
Well, for those who don't know, obviously no one knows. We were just here at your practice. How often do you guys do this? Like, is this a weekly thing, bi-weekly thing?
Weekly.
Weekly?
Yeah.
Like once a week?
If
Yeah.
we get the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
If the stars align.
Clockwork.
if the soccer games and karate and dance and gymnastics align.
I mean, for us, and that's kind of one of the reasons we've taken a little bit of a break with gigging is that for us to get consistent rehearsal time, the once a week schedule, we really have to, like I said, we gotta take a little bit of a break from playing out because it's hard to play shows and then turn around 2 or 3 days later and be able to schedule, practices and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah, because we want to tighten up the set before we go out and play it. We want to have, we got these 8 songs we're going to do. Let's rehearse them in order, back to back to back, time it, make sure we're not going to step on any other band's toes. And then we want to make sure that they're tightened down to the point that we come in here and run through them, and then we've got an hour to start writing, and then when you start writing, you're out of time, and you come back and you're like, where were we? And it takes you 30 minutes to get back to where you were. So.
Well, anymore is the practice just tightening up newer stuff because you've been playing a lot of these songs for so long. I would assume that it's second nature by now.
Yeah, a lot of them are. I mean, there's rarely,
Everything off I Am is second nature, yeah.
Yeah, but we've been playing the new tunes more at the live shows, but like we've been doing Gimme 6 now for
6
what,
months.
6-7 months
Yeah.
live, and then Heath had this idea to add another part. So at that point, then it's like it's kind of a new song, because the muscle memory goes to a different level when you get to that part. You're like, now I got to change my way of thinking of how I'm going to approach that part of the song. So, but writing is, I think, definitely my favorite part, and arranging and recording. The live shows are just kind of the gravy on the top of the potatoes.
Yeah. So, like a little bit ago, when you guys were just kind of working stuff out, I mean, is that how it usually goes, or is it just,
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I kinda
It's not just like
sometimes-
one guy bringing something
no,
in.
I mean,
or-
it's. I think it's different for every song. I think every song that we've created has been a different set of circumstances. Sometimes He's come in with a whole tune, and we just run from it from there. And,
Yeah,
and
Live
so-
Again was one practice.
One
He came
practice,
in, he's like,
one
hey, check
done,
this
you know,
out.
one-
And we're like, that's
and
a
then
song.
there's times where, we come in with an idea, and it grows and grows and grows, and it's not any one particular pattern that kind of does it for us. So.
Well, like the one we're working on right now, it's something that D had in his head while he was driving his car. He hears a guitar riff, and then he
I
comes
sang it
in
into
here
my
and tries
phone,
to
yeah.
translate it to us so we can kind of figure out what he wants.
Yeah, I had a
Um,
4-hour road trip to Kansas City, and I had that melody come into my head, and I was like, I'm going to sing this into my phone, my voice recorder. And then 30 miles down the road, I'm like, that song's still going in my head. I'm like, oh, I got another part, and I'll sing that. And then I bring it in here, and these poor guys are like, Jesus
Well,
Christ.
It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
He sent me the text, the voice text of him in the car
Yeah.
going ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So, it's kind of, I worked on it for a while, but then even again, by the time I got here, and then we all started working on it, I think it ended up completely different than actually even what I was doing at home. So,
It mutates.
It's great because there is no formula.
and
For us, I mean, there is no set down writing formula. And that's what makes it really good and energetic. It's just not one all the time.
that song that you guys listened to that we played in our entirety on what's it called? Which one is it? Headcase. That was one that we started
a year ago.
Yeah, we started a year ago. Chris, and this was I call it a technology baby because Chris sent me the intro bass part. He sent it to me in an email, and then I took it and put it into my iPad, and then I wrote this other guitar part, and I sent it back to him. So we kind of pinged parts back and forth. This was over like 4th of July weekend. We were like pinging parts back and forth, and then it died there. We played a bunch of gigs after that, so it died. And then we came back. We came back a year later, and then we actually took all that stuff that him and I went back and forth on, and then we wrote the rest of the song and put all the other parts and got these guys to add parts, and then you just never know. I mean,
yeah, and there's those moments where you're like either stymied, you hit a wall, like where we were tonight. It was like, I don't know where we're going with this thing, and everybody sits here and noodles around, and you sit and you think, what if we do this? What if we do that? Well, let's try that, and then it doesn't work, or that might be better if we do it 4 or 5 more times, and get to the point where everybody's on the same page. Either that, or it just starts zipping through, and all of a sudden you're like, "Damn, I think we probably ought to close this out."
I think on the last album,
it's going to be a 14-minute overture,
Like the last album, like Live Again, I had missed a practice. These guys came in. I came back to practice. It was born. Done.
Yeah.
Played bass to it and go on.
Chris, there's your bass part.
I mean, really, that's what it was. And it was like, love it. Let's go, run.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we try not to do we'll do the 3-man jam if somebody's out or can't make it or somebody's sick or whatever. But
there's just no formula for it.
But I would like to point out that you can't practice without the drummer. Anybody you can practice without, but no. No, but and then there are some times where, like I said, that aha moment, it'll just speed through the process, and all of a sudden you're the song's over. You're ready to cut it off because it's getting to be 9 minutes.
Yeah. Well, if you write them in here together, like how quick do you get to a point where you start recording it so you remember it? Because if you're writing them separate, you can bring it in the tape.
Yeah,
that's always on.
Well,
not always on.
Not always, but when we hit an idea, I'll immediately just capture it and then take that home, put it in MP3, and mail it to them that night.
Sometimes every time Heath comes in here, he gets here about 10 minutes early and starts noodling. And there's riffs in there, and we've had to video them on the phone, and I like that.
I won't remember them, man. I'm just a
there's riffs that have disappeared like a fart in the wind, man.
Yeah.
Thousands of them are gone.
I've still got one today that, not from today, but it's been probably about 3 months ago. It's sitting in my phone, a video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean,
we'll get around to it. It's one of those things.
If we got something going and it's happening,
gets archived
even to a point, we'll capture it before we leave and shoot it for emails, so everybody can sit at work and listen to what we did.
Yeah, or Heath and his riff farming. We had that. We had 5 or 6, 7 emails that went back and forth with MP3s of just him playing parts, and it was like, if any of this sticks out, let me know. And so you'll go through and write down the time signature of where that is. Okay, at 2 minutes and 14 seconds, I like that riff right there, and then he can take it and mental note it. And
technology's helped us somewhat speed the process, or aid in the process of not being able to be here.
It's helped these old minds remember some riffs. That's what it's helped.
So it's way easier than it was just 10, 12 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Well, as far as keeping the riffs, and not missing out on something, because I've had riffs where I'm like, you remember that thing you did? And he's looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty much, if these guys don't help me remember it, I'll forget it.
Well, like how many new songs have you guys written since Misfortune came out?
Well, we're on the 4th.
We're on the 4th,
On the 4th one.
But like I said, we've kind of written and revamped, and then,
we've been kind of caught up in the, we did Imminent Misfortune, and then we played, a whole bunch of shows after that CD came out, and then we had a little time off, and we started writing a little batch. And then before you know it, let's face it, when our gig opportunities come around at the level that we're at, we need to take those. Yeah. And so, we go and we put that stuff on the back burner so we can go play. And then we finally just had to do a mandate where we just said, okay, we're
Time off.
not playing.
Go right.
Yeah, unless it's just something that's, I mean, if
We just can't. Yeah, we gotta either. I mean, because we can't just. We've been playing what I call the Imminent Misfortune cycle. We've been playing it for 2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
at some
it's
point,
time for new stuff.
you got to do something different. And so we said, like this time, we said we played Labor Day weekend with Drek, and you guys were there.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
were there. So we did that show, and we said no more except for the Not So Silent Night.
Well, and also Chris had the
Well, Chris had
tendon in his hand.
he had an
so
injury.
That made it pretty easy.
That
right
made it
there.
easy for us to because we literally could not play the gigs. I mean,
Like
physically.
bass player.
Yeah, that was one of our items we wanted to hit on was his injury there.
Yeah, he healed up though pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't think the swelling's gone completely down. But
Nah.
Truth be
Little
told,
hand
though,
surgery.
he actually it was funny because he actually the first week afterwards he came to the practice as a spectator, but then the week after surgery, the dude showed up. I don't know. He had this.
it was that highlighter cast. He had that bright yellow.
Yes, and he was like this, and he was up there, and he played. He played. So, but we could. We wouldn't want to do a gig, but the dude was here.
Yeah, it's here for writing.
He was here thumping out the parts.
Because
So
that's it. I mean, it's a democratic process. We got to have. I want
Much-
all four of the minds going on the same tune. I don't want to Live Again was not really fair to Chris. To hey, by the way, while you were gone,
But it was a great tune.
Yeah.
But you know what? We make him play it every time.
To say it was a great song. I mean, when you play it was like, hey, yeah, I feel bass on. Let's run with this thing. Let's run them and gun them.
Some of them just fall together like that, and then some of them will get halfway into it, and we're like, man, we get stuck. We got writer's block on this tune. Okay, let's shelf it.
yeah,
Let's move on to something else and go back to it later. And that happens with a lot, and we'll get spurs of inspiration at the, whenever, and be like, hey, you remember that song that we were working on those parts? I came up with this, and it kind of works with that, and then we'll rehash it, and if it works.
Well,
then-
that psychopathetic riff, the first riff once it starts, was one that you played. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And
I was
just
actually
now
playing
gotten
while we
written.
were in the studio recording Imminent. I was riff farming, and
And that was one of them.
yeah, that was one of them.
So, kind of to your question, back to that. I mean, we've got the 4 songs that we, and our goal is here. I mean, we're trying to write the next CD. And we're trying to get it done because we want to get it done and get it out
By
And,
spring, if possible.
Yeah, I mean that's really what we want to do. I mean, to get the next cycle for us started, and but we have to. We're trying to play a little bit like we did with the Not So Silent Night, and we've got a couple of things we're in the works, but we're trying to get these things done and get in the studio. So,
Well, to get it done by spring, are you guys going to have to get in here and have full-on writing sessions for like full weekend type thing, to be
That's
able to...
kind of where we were today. I mean, we don't have a show lined up right now. We got some tentative dates scheduled. So it's, hey, come in, let's run through the 3 new ones. If there's not any issues, let's move on. And that's when we started working on Brick at the Dome. So we got a little bit in that, and then we kind of get, sometimes it just falls right out of the amps. Other times it's like, I don't know what the hell is going to happen right here. But before we go on, congratulations on 100 episodes, guys.
oh, right,
Badass,
guys.
That's awesome. You guys, I mean, what a
Milestone.
regional treasure. I'll say that. I mean, I wish I could say national. You guys are doing such big acts, though, because, I mean, seriously, I was like, what did they just do? They just interviewed who? I mean, and you've gotten bigger and bigger, and you've held, what are you guys doing? Kicking down back doors and getting into the, is that you?
Yeah.
Are you the
Did
pusher?
you take the
Yeah.
Kevin Graham, Kevin Graham school of
Yeah.
how to get backstage
Yeah.
here?
I just put on a show when I get there, use him as the muscle, and we walk.
I think it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
100 shows. That's awesome.
There's
What's?
no, go ahead.
I was going to say it's been 88 since we talked to you. I think that was like 12.
I think it was 12.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there's been sometimes when he'll email me, well, we've got so and so, and I'm like, holy shit, and
No doubt.
it's like you go in on somebody's bus or in somebody's in backstage, and I'm like, it's aren't they going to figure out we shouldn't be here? Shit, someone's going to kick our ass, But if we're there, we're supposed to be there. So, but yeah, it's awesome, and thanks, and that's why we kind of want you guys as a 100.
Well,
kind of come around full
listen,
circle.
we're
It's a pleasure.
We're
Yeah.
really honored.
extremely honored.
I mean,
Very
no
cool.
doubt.
And
That's why I wore my.
hell
my
yeah.
Thunder Road. I know they can't see it on the podcast, but I'm wearing this son of a bitch.
Well, it's now that we're getting towards the end of the year, I mean, you look back on you guys' year, and what were some highlights, and was it a good year, and what's to come for 17?
Man, I mean, it hadn't been as highlightable a year as I was hoping. You always have this benchmark that you set for yourself, the standard that's sometimes unattainable, but you got to reach for it, right? I mean, if you fall short, shoot for the moon. If you'll figure out something good from it. We had some good shows. We've made some more contacts. We're looking at
Made more fans.
2017 up.
Yeah.
The Not So Silent Night show. I'll be honest with you, that was a big highlight for me. Just all the new faces and people that did not even know who we were that came up and said stuff to us afterwards. It was a whole different crowd. I mean, it's not the usual metal crowd. Nothing against the metal crowd in Tulsa, but you go to shows. I mean, I can probably guarantee I'm going to see Trent and Jason there. I mean, there's some people that we know are going to come out to the show. Eric McCarter. I don't think he's missed more than 2 shows we've done, but the Saliva show was pretty good gig. We had a couple of shows that we were offered that we couldn't do. Logistically, it just wasn't possible. But I think 2017, if we can get another CD out, that keeps the momentum rolling. I mean, we just don't want to. It's a natural creative outlet that it has to happen. So whether we get it recorded or not, I mean, we're in here banging it out, and that's the part of it.
No, we never force anything either. Everything should come naturally if it's meant to be. A lot of bands will get in there and they're under the gun because they got a label pressuring them. Hey, we want this, we want this, we want this, and that's why you always get one of those albums that's got it's got a couple good songs on it, but the rest of them are kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
We want to put out a good product every time, where every song on there captivates you, keeps you interested, making you want to hear more.
Yeah, I would say probably, looking back on it, Rocklahoma. I mean, that's always. I mean, you can't top that. I mean, for us, that's our high point.
Yeah, Rocklahoma kind of goes without
I mean,
saying.
it definitely does. I mean, just that whole experience and when the night we played, the day we played, the whole day, the experience that we had was an awesome. We had.
Yeah.
I might say this, that I mean, playing aside, I mean, if you were just to take and say we didn't play that night, the night that we were out there, I had the best time with these 4 guys. We had that whole day, and we had a freaking blast. All the things we did, it was like, I mean, from the press that we did
Backstage
to just just the whole. I mean, but we just got to be 4 dudes.
Yeah.
A band. We were 4 buddies, and we were just the whole experience. And it was like, man, this, because I know we didn't play till late that night, and we were sitting around at our little campsite right behind the Axis stage, and we were sitting around and we were having a couple of drinks, and there was a little crew of people there, and I just thought, man, this has been, all the things we've done with Axis so far up during the day up until that point was awesome. So if we were to get rained out right now, it would suck to not have played. Yeah. But I thought, man, we have had a freaking blast today.
Yeah.
It was like, as an old dude, I'll just say that, okay, that was I had a young man's good time.
Yeah. It was like a little time machine. It was like a little time machine.
So Rocklahoma opened up for Saliva, and then the Not So Silent Night deal were the 3 highlights. And then obviously for 2017, we're looking to get the CD out. We're hopeful for more opportunities like Rocklahoma again, and and more out of town shows. More out of town because
We
playing.
don't do regional.
We can only play.
on.
We can only play in town so many times. Let's face it. I mean, how many?
But this is, I mean, not to take away from the fact this is our roots. I mean, this is Tulsa's home base, so playing shows here is always a good thing, but you don't want to play one a month because people are like, oh, I'm not going to be able to come to this show, but I'll catch you next
I'll
month.
catch them next
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We want them to all come out every time we play.
Yeah, we rather just play every third month and just get you all at the same time. And
And that's kind of what we've been working on. I mean, we got some tentative dates for Wichita. We got, we're talking Joplin, we're talking Kansas City, and just, Dallas again, Denton anyway. So, and that was a good show.
Oh, yeah.
Denton.
Well, that kind of plays in. I know he had the question of what's probably your most memorable show ever. Would it be those Rocklahoma shows?
I would say that first Rocklahoma was.
Yeah.
Five Finger Death Punch for me.
Yeah, Five Finger Death
Yeah,
Punch
that
was
was a-
cool.
that was a
It was with James. It was
it
before.
was before me.
It
Yeah,
was
but
before
Stacy's
Stacy.
first show was
Oh, at
THC at the Canes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we opened
Yeah,
for
that was a good show.
THC.
But we opened Five Finger for me, and that was coming in this band. That was we played a few venues that were 100-seater, whatever, but it was packed.
Yeah.
Side to side, all the way to the back. And
Canes is
for
always
me,
a
it was
nice
just it was
gig,
one of those
yeah.
breathers. And the Canes just to play there is great. But
Yeah.
this Five Finger Death Punch, the Rocklahoma's for this situation has been probably the premier.
Yeah, I think that first Rocklahoma was just holy shit. I mean, the whole was that the drones flying?
No, that was the second one.
Was that the second?
Yeah,
one?
I was going to say for me it was the second year that we played there and we did the video with the drones and all that
The
stuff.
tent was
Nice.
packed, man. I
It
mean,
was-
all the way out the back of that thing.
It was crazy. We didn't play.
I
It was
remember
like
I was,
1 in
well,
the
not to cut
morning.
you off, but I was standing out there and I was a little inebriated.
Yeah.
And when those things caught
Really?
my eye, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it freaked me out. Like, I thought I was seeing things at
Yeah.
first, and I was like, oh, they're recording, I guess. Hopefully, that's what it is.
What,
Yeah.
you didn't get a missile shot at you, so you're probably.
My
Was that,
paranoia took over.
was that the one where it was like, wow, hold on, Trent's hammered and everybody else we're having to carry Trent because
I
usually
think it
you're
was
having to
that
carry us.
guy.
Oh wow! I mean, those are
The babysitter took the night off.
Yeah.
Chewed through the straps.
Well, yeah, because that same, I think it was that same night that we were going to play, and there was, the second night the second time we played there, what makes it also memorable, besides the great experience and all the people that were there, and the drones and the shooting the video thing, that was really cool. Because I still go back and watch those videos, and I'm like, oh man, that was awesome. But,
Yeah, that was fun.
but that was the year that it rained so much.
Oh, that was Mudlahoma.
Mudlahoma.
Or what
And-
we were calling Rocklahoma.
and we
Yeah.
got.
And we were stuck. We got stuck.
Oh,
this,
yeah.
that's a story in itself.
So yeah, this is
Buried
this-
to the axle, not just stuck. I mean, the van was all our equipment's in there.
well, the deal was. The funny thing is so Chris, how many ton van is yours? I don't know. What is it? Chris has got a big van. Anyways,
Big ass
so
van.
so it's got everything except for like my rig and maybe part of your stuff.
Yeah,
there.
I think just part of my stuff was in the
So
van.
we're parked side by side, and we play. It was a great show, and like our goal, when you play, especially at Rocklahoma, you're like, man, you need to get loaded out, and you need to get to your merch booth because you got people coming.
People coming.
So that's like you got to
Take
get.
care of the fans.
Yeah, pressing the flesh, man.
But we were stuck. We go, but you got to kind of get out of the zone because the next band's coming through. So driver was after us, so we knew we needed to get our shit loaded and get out of that zone. So, we got our stuff loaded in the back, and Chris's van, man, it just like went.
Like butter.
So-
I mean, just
But we're like, hey, you know what, man? We got all these people that came here to see us, so let's go recruit some dudes. Well, all right, you know what I'm saying? We got Sausage Fest going on out here. Let's recruit some dudes to like help push this van out of the mud. And I'm not kidding you. I don't know how many guys we got. We got a ton of dudes.
yeah, they couldn't even get any more back.
We
there.
could. It was like it wasn't. We couldn't move the thing, and we were stuck. And we called. And like all the tractors that had been there earlier to pull people out had already gone home. They're like, if you want to stay till 8 in the
Here at
morning,
7:30 in the morning. Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
Chris's son went out to. They had these gravel. They pour those gravel roads for Rocklahoma. So Chris's son went out with a box and loaded up gravel. I don't know how many trips the guy made.
Didn't he have a new girlfriend at the time when he's like, I got to get to my girl or something?
That could have been it.
He wasn't wanting to be there.
It could have been new stuff. But anyways, so he carried this box back full of rocks. We dug the holes out and we filled up behind the wheels, and we finally got Chris's van out of there. Heath had gone back to man and do the PR duties, but
I came out I came up with the rock idea, and then I said, we just need a shovel. And Murdoch goes, well, I got a shovel in my pickup.
Yeah.
I'm like, no way, this has got to be meant to be. He's got a shovel, we got gravel. We're going to get out of here.
But, we literally, we get out, Chris's van out of there. And it was one of those things where, so we were driving home that night, and I remember pulling in my driveway as the sun comes up. And I was just like, man, wow, I am too old to stay up 24 hours straight, dig holes.
$60 in the car wash later.
Right, push vans. Whoa, but it was awesome, though. I'll never forget that. I'll be even older than I am now telling
one for the record books, man.
That story. So it was great.
Nice.
Well, going back to the album, where do you guys record at? You're recording the same as you did the last album?
Well, we don't really know. Everything's kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
We did the first CD out at Hank's at Valcor, and we were so tight back then. I don't know. Single. That was all we did was practiced. And
we were
so
2
tight.
or 3 days a week back then.
It was over. I think we recorded and mixed that in 24 hours.
Wow.
It was just in and out. And the second one we did at Yellow Dog.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Second
24 hours, not like 24 seconds. But we got to Yellow Dog, the second one. And
From
then,
the Ashes.
Yeah, the From the Ashes EP. And then we did this one at Geo Studios, which is the local hidden Sever Cave, the alternate, not this one. This is the Inner Sanctum here, but we had the Sever Cave at an undisclosed location. We'll just leave it there. And we recorded that one. That was actually extremely leisurable because there was no hurry at all. It was come in, I think Stace did final solos I don't know, I recorded my stuff in August, I know, and we were still... It went a full year, I think.
It did. I had to do for my my day gig. I had to do some traveling, so literally, it was a little bit fractured in that. We had laid down most of the original tracks months in advance, and then when I came in to do my rhythm parts and my solo parts, it was months later. It was really fragmented. I can remember I was in Philly for work, and Chris was texting me about these guys he's doing guitar parts and vocals, and he's like, I think you need to do this for this because this is going to work out like this. It was just really not. Like Derek said, it was leisurely and it was fractured.
Extremely leisurely.
So hopefully whatever we do next time, we can be all together and be
ready to go.
Yeah.
Get it done, knocked out. I didn't mind at all because I'm sitting there working on the painting and I'm like, I'll just redo this because we're not going to be ready for. The cover art was, why not? I'll just redo this part.
Yeah.
But it was a process that's unlike anything I've ever done as far as recording goes because, like I said, you never have that much time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you keep thinking to yourself. We've all got day jobs, we've all got kids. If music was all we did, we could crank out CDs, maybe 2 a year.
Yeah.
But there's not enough time with families and everything else, and then families come first, and that's the way it's got to be. So,
what's kind of a unique fun fact about I Am is when we were doing the recordings of it, initially it was just going to be a tool for us so we could hear the tunes, kind of fine tune them and
Pre-production
fix whatever we wanted to fix on them. But we got in there and we started doing it. We're like, you know what, this is pretty cool. Maybe we should just leave it as is. Yeah. Even Chris had to talk me out of redoing some of my vocal tracks. He's like, no, just leave this. Don't change it. And
well, We might still.
And then we
be
ended
there.
up liking it so much. We're like, you know what? Maybe we should just go full on with this and take it seriously. And
With those
I think it
original
turned out
tracks.
pretty good. I think the only drawback from our CD, and I've heard this from a few fans, is that it doesn't have that super high professional tone to it. I mean, some of the songs are different levels and whatnot, and but you know what? It is what it is, and we've got no regrets with it. And this next go around, we'll probably take somewhere else just to try out something different, you know. So
You guys produce yourselves, or
That
someone
one
in
we
with
did,
you?
yeah.
Yeah, we did.
That was
Engineers,
self-produced,
producers,
yeah.
mixed and mastered it.
Brad Bunch helped us out.
Yeah,
So.
Brad Bunch helped us out in
Yeah.
the mixing department, the automation department. So,
Yeah. And too, I was gonna say, I think we should, one thing where as we do this is we're, not to just replicate. I mean, because it kind of goes back to the songwriting that we're doing. I mean, we don't want to just put out another CD that's just Imminent Misfortune Part 2. I mean,
Right.
even from from a song standpoint, we want to make that we want to have an evolution of we did this. I don't want to say one's above the other, but we did this here, and this was Imminent Misfortune over here. So, and there's no point in doing Imminent Misfortune again. We need to do whatever we've evolved to, because we've had a lot of experiences in the last 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do whatever that is with songwriting, all that. It means something so that we have something that's different. I mean, it's kind of, and whether that's, however whether that's going somewhere else to record or whatever, we gotta, so we give Severmind the next CD is something different than Imminent Misfortune. So it was this, and then we got this over here.
Well, that kind of goes back to what Chris was saying earlier. There is really no pattern.
Yeah.
So we write, and it's like, the question has been said before, is that something we should put there? And we're like, that's our tune. Well, who the hell's going to tell us different? I mean,
Exactly.
if they don't like it, don't listen to it. I mean, I hope you do like it, but if you don't, that's cool. I mean, it's what we ended up writing, and that's where we thought it should be. So that's one of the things that's kind of cool about this band is, I mean, it's kind of a democratic process. Everybody has their input. Sometimes you get vetoed. I mean, it's been 3-1. I don't think it's ever been 2-2. Sometimes it's been 1-1 to 1-1 to 1.
1-1 to 1.
But I mean, there's a happy compromise where you're like, I mean, I've listened to what Stace said, and I think that what Chris said is valid, but what Heath's doing over here is kind of cool. So what if we took what Heath is doing and took Stacy's idea and used Chris's, little tail end on? So it's whatever we decide. We don't have there's no set schedule or there's no pressure to do it. We just do it.
Yeah, kind of. The bottom line is honestly we've all kind of shit on each other's vision a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, and that's
okay.
a
We
good
agree
thing.
to disagree.
Right. I mean, so we kind of shit on each other's visions, and we kind of get in it. But at the end of the day,
Walk away with
we
something.
probably get something that's Severmind, and that's not.
That's it. It's
Well, that's
seven.
probably like-
It's not.
Yeah.
It's a
Quality
piece of
over
each of your
quantity.
vision is what makes it Severmind.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal.
So
Right.
that's-
the whole deal.
That's okay, and you just gotta whenever that happens, you just gotta kind of recognize that's it's just.
That's why
part
it's
of-
not called cohesive mind. It's
That's what we're severed. Come on.
We're all different parts, different pieces, but the total of everything, the whole quantity of what's being put in always comes out with more than the individual pieces.
I think what's going to make this next upcoming CD more special is the fact that, Stace came into the band with a lot of those songs on I Am already pre-existing. We'd been three-man jamming it for a while after James left. We wrote a lot of material, and Stace came in and
Breathe new
put
life, man.
breathed new life into it. He put his own little flair on it. And, it turned out great. We were able to write Dying Dream with him. That was our first tune we wrote with Stace. And then Live Again, he was on board when that was written. So this one coming up is all going to be
this
written
is
with
all of
Stace.
us.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
And
So
that's
it's-
really cool because it's pushed us in a different direction. But there's certain songs, like through it all, I was like, God, I do not want to play the fucking song again. because we played it for 3.5 years, and it had never been recorded. And then Stace came in, and I was like, what the hell did he just do right there? That was really badass. And all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, let's do Through It All. I like that song. And it made me want to play the songs again. It kind of like literally breathed new life into it. Where you're excited about playing the tune.
We've been playing for a long time, but as a unit, a couple of years of touring behind the album, all around. So, and they still hang on, still hold up. People still want to hear them. So we'll still keep shooting them out there. Yeah,
that's what we definitely want to do is get stuff that's out there that people ask for. Or they come up to you and they're like, oh man, this tune, is the shit. I like that song better than anything else, which is what we've had after after Imminent Misfortune came out, was people come up to us and say, I like this song. And you're like, damn, that's cool. I mean, I didn't know that people were listening to that, that song. So.
Well, the last time we did this with you two, we kind of got you guys' stories. I want to hear from, Heath and Chris. How did you guys come up, and, who are your influences, and how'd you get hooked up with this whole Severmind thing?
Oh, wow.
It's you guys' turn now.
Well, for me, actually, I was more blues, singer-songwriter stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't start playing until I was 25. So I was going to bars watching guys like Jeff Rambo and Dave Mooney play, here at Tulsa guys. And those guys,
Dave Mooney's crazy.
Shit, yeah.
I went to high school with them.
And so
him and I, we yes.
Yeah, but to go watch those guys before I was playing, to start playing. So influence-wise, just everybody.
Yeah.
Those guys you could go talk to after the gig saying, how'd you do that? And that was influential, really, in itself. But as far as big, it's everybody for me. It's still play the blues and the singer-songwriter stuff. I really love it, But saw an ad in the paper, or online, actually.
Yeah.
I called Derek, and then Derek blew me off for 2 weeks.
No, I did not. I told you I'm headed out of town. I'll call you when I'm back. I was on the road. We had just pulled out of Tulsa, just to clarify and justify my action.
He blew me off for 2 weeks, and then he called me. So I came to audition, and I walked into the audition. It was great. These guys were hammering it right then and there without a bass player, and I was like, I want a piece of this, and came in and auditioned, and they weren't able to pry me out of here.
We were lucky as hell to find Chris, because it was musicians, first of all, usually come with a little bit of a swagger, and I don't want to say they're assholes. They can be, you know what I mean? They can be full of themselves. They can be prima donna-ish. Chris was down to earth. He was like, I just want to work on whatever you guys are doing. And he was writing, and the more he played, the more he'd come out of the box. And then it's like, now he's like doing these runs on stuff. And I'm like, you got to do that every time, man.
My very first metal band, so.
That's the beauty of having him on board, is because he comes from that different background, although, he listened to a lot of the stuff that we listened to when we were young as well.
Okay. Definitely that.
Yeah,
but when I started playing blues and singer-songwriter, pop.
Did you start as a guitar, or did you start right off with bass?
I played bass all along and guitar too. So I play very little guitar, but I like to play. I like to play, but it was bass, and took off. Never looked back.
Actually, one of the songs that's actually in the, I don't know what you want to call it, pre-staging, that's like setting in the holding pattern up here is a 12-string deal that intro thing that Chris came up with. That's
sitting there like stewing right now.
It's sitting there. It's cooking somewhere. When we get done with this one, we'll, it's one of those kind of things. So he, just to your point of playing both.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved to play. So but as soon as I got in here and saw what they were doing, their influences and what they'd already written and what they'd already accomplished, I was this is good. Let's go. So loved it.
Cool.
Love every bit of it.
It was kind of a freak deal too, because we were like, we tried out, I don't know, 3-4 different bassists, and they were all a bunch of crackheads.
Yeah, that's why we finally like,
and Derek calls me and says, man, we got this guy that's inquired about it. I'm like, oh, he's not another crackhead.
He's on crack.
And he came in and he literally, blew us away with just being able to follow what we were doing. He had a whole different feel to what he was doing, and it
Yeah,
sounded
his
great.
mental
And
faculties were there. I mean, he was,
Yeah.
you could communicate with him, and it wasn't, it wasn't just about, one guy came in here, and seriously, this is no bullshit. Do you remember this? Came in and said, "Oh, here's my demo tape." Gives it to us, and we're listening to it, and I'm like, that sounds like Dave Cantrell. Do you remember this guy?
Yeah.
He was out of the West Side. I still don't
Yeah.
remember his name.
He tried to
He
play
says,
it off.
I was like, that sounds like Dave Cantrell. And I called Terry, and I'm like, hey, listen to this and tell me if this is you playing. He's like, yeah, that's me playing. I'm like, this son of a bitch is pawning off our friend's music saying it's his. That's what we were dealing with. And we found him, we were like, oh. We just, angels coming down, the heavens open up. Yeah.
Well, good thing you're not a crackhead.
Heroin, not crack.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Oh, man.
What about you?
I come from a long family that has a lot of music in it. I started playing when I was 13. Got in a cover band. Messed around with that stuff. Had fun with it. I think the 80s metal really charged me up. My cousin, who was in a death metal band, he showed me some riffs, and I got stuck into playing guitar. I just loved it so much, and played a lot by myself. Unfortunately, I got to one point in time, I was like, man, I really got to find somebody to play all this with, because I've got I'm memorizing 300 songs now, and I want to start writing my own stuff.
I'll tell you, this guy right here has more riffs than anybody I've ever been across.
They just come out.
Seriously,
And you're like,
we
don't
call
forget
it
that.
a riff farmer, and there's a reason.
Well, when you finish, I got a story for you and for our history to tell
Right on.
when you get done.
Right.
telling.
Yeah, we all, there's three of us,
crazy.
Stace and I and Derek all have histories, but leading into this, I moved to Tulsa when I was in high school. Still couldn't find the right guys to work with. Worked with some of the guys from Morbid Truth at one point in time.
I was in Morbid Truth for a little while.
And yeah, see, we crossed paths. It's weird. And it's kind of funny, actually, because I met Derek at a party with this chick I was dating. She introduced me to him, and Derek was snockered. And I'm like, yeah, you were snockered. And
That's
she
some
goes, this
eggnog.
guy plays
That's
drums.
some
He's like,
eggnog.
oh, I play drums. And I'm like, oh, shit.
All of a sudden, I turned into Scooby-Doo.
I was like, okay. I got his number, I never called him because I thought, man, this guy is tanked. I mean, what's going to happen there?
I was a crackhead. Yeah.
And so then this other guy, the chick that I was dating at the time, introduced me to play guitar, and he was pretty good guitarist, and we got along really well, and he liked a lot of the same stuff I liked, and so we started kind of working together, and he goes, man, I got this great drummer, man, he's freaking phenomenal. I'm like, all right, cool. So we go, and Derek walks in the door, I'm like,
It's a drunk guy.
Shit, man, it's this guy.
It's a drunk jackass.
It's this guy, and he blew me away when I heard him play. I was like, "Wow, he is legitimate." And so I had to change my perspective at that point, and put the partying part aside from it. But
We all have our moments. Right?
yeah, that's right, that's right. And so we put a death metal band together, Derek and I, and Mike Winston and Scott Smith, and we were in a band called Caustic Descent together in the early
Which
90s.
is a great band name, by the way.
Yeah.
And we
Metal
considered ourselves the pioneers of death metal for Oklahoma, because we were
Nobody
playing
else
heavier and
really?
faster than
Nobody.
everybody at that point in time, and then it kind of caught on after we started.
When you think Cannibal Corpse and,
Right.
that kind of stuff it was full on death metal. That wasn't.
I'd been writing a lot of speed metal tunes and stuff before we hooked up, and Mike was really into death metal, and so it was an easy transition for me. And we did the death metal thing for 4 years.
4 or 5 years, yeah.
Yeah, and then things kind of disbanded for their own reasons, and three of us, Mike and I and Scott, ended up moving on. We tried out some drummers that couldn't cut it. Mike and Scott went on to Pitbulls on Crack. Steve snatched them up. Pitbulls and Crack. It kind of left me hanging with nothing, man. I'm like, what am I going to do, man? I'm just ready to just throw down all this music, you know, and I'm all by myself again. And so Pitbulls on Crack at that point in time had Mike DiPetrello as drums. And he was talking to me in my ear going, hey, we need to do something, blah, blah, blah. So he and I started working together, and we came up with like 8 tunes that you'll probably never hear, but they were really good. And slowly, that didn't work out. He kept doing the Pitbulls on Crack thing. I joined a band here in Tulsa called Snapperhead. Played with them for 6 months. Pretty cool, but it was one of those deals where I felt like all the pressure was on me to carry the band. Mm-hmm. And I really wasn't ready for that. I didn't want to carry a band. I wanted everybody to have equal input, and I didn't want to be the sole writer of everything. And so that didn't work out. And then we started Hate Furnace. Mike and I and Scott started Hate Furnace at that point. We started jamming, and we had a good friend of ours, Jeff Bills, on vocals, and DiPetrello was playing drums. He was the beginner of Hate Furnace, and we evolved. Deepo left. We got another drummer. Jeff left. We got I started singing, and we put out a really good CD. It kind of, and then it just kind of faltered off from that. We had some disagreements. We lost. Scotty left, and we got another bass player in, and he and I worked pretty good together. And then we had some disagreements, and it just kind of fell apart. So I went with like 3 years of just dormancy. I was like, I was so fed up with everything. I can't get a group of guys together where we can all be on the same page, and so there was one night Corrosion was playing at Kane's Ballroom, and I was like, I'm going to go out to that show because I love Corrosion. Yeah. They're like one of my favorites. And so I'm out there, and I run into Derek, and I'm like, man, what are you doing? And he goes, oh, man, I'm playing in, Gut Wrench?
With James.
Yeah, with James. Yeah, and with Steve Ray and all them. And he said, well, we're it's kind of falling apart. And they were at the fall apart stage with it. And I was like, wow, well, keep me in mind, man. I go, you guys need a player or a singer? I'm willing to step up and do whatever I can. Hell, I'll even play bass. And I gave him my number again and made sure, give me a call if something comes up. And sure enough, later on,
2 weeks. I blew him off for 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Just to be clear on that one, it was 2 weeks.
Not 2 weeks in a day.
2 weeks.
Not 13 days. 2 weeks.
So I came in and as a singer for Severmind. And that time we didn't have a name. We kind of rehashed some of the Gut Wrench tunes, and I put my own lyrics and flavor to that. And Terry was with us on bass for a brief period of time, and we were actually playing in the same practice pad that Stace was playing in with another band.
That was, what down? Archer and Cheyenne?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, downtown.
Yeah, that was a sketchy part of town,
yeah.
It was pretty bad back then.
So
it's kind of beefed up now. I mean, they've done so much with downtown. Back then, it was
it was scary, but yeah.
So we took these Gut Wrench tunes and we rehashed them with new vocals, new lyrics, and we went in and recorded them at some crackhead's house.
Who was that? Is that same guy that tried out for bass?
And there's a lot of cracks on this band. I swear I've never seen any of it.
We were desperate. We were like, we ain't got no money. This guy's got a PA and he's got recording equipment. Okay, let's go put this down to see if it's even worth the shit. Let's give it a listener's view on it. And then let's see. It wasn't long after that. James was in the band. He goes, you play guitar, don't you? And I'm like, well, hell yeah, I play guitar. He goes, well, why don't you bring it up here one? And I'm like, all right, because I was kind of looking forward to doing something different. I played guitar forever. I was like, I want to be a front man, just get up there and scream in people's faces. And so I brought my guitar up there and my amp up there, and we rocked out. And then at the end of practice, I'm, taking the cords off and loading up my equipment. And they're like, no, you're going to leave that here. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
They liked what I did so much. They're like, don't. You're going to play guitar and sing. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, that's where we're going to go with this. And we started writing together, and it just kind of fell together, and it felt right, man. We had, and all we needed was a bass player, because Terry kind of dropped out. He was kind of not sure what he wanted to do, and then, you know, like I said, we went through the bass player process of trying to find somebody, and then the rest is history, man.
That's 12 years ago. That's amazing.
The rest is history. Yeah.
I'll just add two quick little stories here. That, well, the first one with Derek, because you mentioned, you know, Dave Mooney, and
Yeah.
we went to high school. Well, Derek and I grew up together.
Right.
We know each other since junior high school, and then in high school we we also went to high school with Dave Mooney, and we did. Well, it was my senior year.
Oh, it was a senior. I remember that.
And you were junior, and I don't know what grade Dave was in, but we
Dave
did.
was a freshman.
Was he a freshman?
Yeah.
So we did the
Senior assembly.
Well before that we were doing they had the spring vocal concert for the school, for the high school, and we were all three of us were in the band. So I was playing guitar, Derek was playing drums, and of course Dave was playing bass. And we played on that together, but we also did, I'll never forget, we just finished the little rehearsal for that, and I had, this tells you how long ago this was, I had like next classes like English or something, but we literally broke into Seek and Destroy there at the end of the vocal choir concert.
Yeah, that was back when it was still new.
Yes.
Seek and Destroy was like cutting edge.
Yeah, it was like, it was brand new. So yeah, I say Seek and Destroy today, and everybody's like, what? But you know, but this was like, it just came out. And so we ripped into that thing, and we literally killed that for the whole time that you're supposed to be getting to class.
Yeah.
Together, the three of us. So that was awesome. A little side story there.
Dave Mooney.
But for Heath and I actually go back a long time too, because we had some common interest on some girls we knew that knew each other, and so
we were actually friends,
yeah,
but not in a band together,
right,
a long time ago.
And I would go. I can remember. I don't know how many times. This was a long time ago, and you talk about Heath and his riff farming, so to speak, and I can remember many nights when we'd be partying, and I mean, Heath would just disappear, and you'd be like, "Oh man, where's Heath?" And like all of a sudden, then you'd
got
hear
inspired.
Then you'd hear, and then he'd be in the other room by himself with his guitar, and I shit you not, the dude. I mean, he would just be in there like playing riffs, singing. No, I mean by himself, to himself, and headbanging. And I was like, man, that guy loves music. Because I was like, I mean, I love music. I love music too. I went to school for it, the whole thing. But at the same time, I was like, man, once I got down the party path for the night, that's where I was at. This dude was in there rocking out by himself, man. So anyway,
it's funny. I mean, and the girl that I was dating at the time, like you said, his girlfriend, they were both friends, so we'd be going out to see him playing in Bunnies of Doom all the time. And Stacy's just a phenomenal lead guitarist, man. Even back then, I was just like, wow, this guy can play his freaking ass off. It's too bad I don't like playing Bunnies Doom style stuff. You know, otherwise I'd say, hey, how about putting me in the band? You know, you need another guitarist.
We actually went to when Nirvana first came out. They were playing at Trees.
Wow.
In Dallas.
That was one of their first shows in Texas. We went down there.
We went down there, sold out. We couldn't get in.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the deal?
Yeah, there was like 4 blocks long in Dallas downtown that you had to wait in just to get into Trees, and everybody was saying, "Oh, they're already packed. The only way you can get in is if somebody can't handle it and they come out. Then you get to go in." And we were like, "There's freaking 200 people in front of us. How many people got to pass out before we get in?
Right.
We're gonna miss the damn show.
Absolutely.
We're gonna be standing on the sidewalk listening to it, you know." That was a funny trip.
So we've all got some kind of like weird mixed history together, I guess is the final analysis. But
Those all meant to be.
Yeah, that's
The
exactly
small
it. 'cause
world, man.
That's what I was just sitting here thinking. I mean, if you and Stace had been and, Bunnies had said, hey, come on in and jam with us, you guys might have, clashed and banged heads to the point of saying, I don't want to jam with that asshole,
The timing wasn't right.
So-
right, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean,
Just
just kind of
things
doing the
come to
things
those-
that we did together, because we did a lot of things together as friends. I mean,
No hit against what you're doing. I
No,
enjoyed
no,
watching
yeah.
you guys play and Bunnies doing.
Yeah.
And I think that band was great. And you guys were perfect the way you were. Had I
Welcome
stepped
to
in, it would have been different because I would have thrown metal into it.
yeah, we were more kind of the punk rock, funk punk thing. But we had a nice friendship together that didn't. I mean,
Outside of being in a band.
outside of being in a band, we had a good friendship together back then that didn't involve being in a band together. So I mean, those kind of things make what we're doing here today easier for us.
means that much more.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right. It does mean that much more because we're pretty vested.
Yeah. I mean, the only way this thing's going to break down is if somebody dies. So
Knock wood, man, knock wood.
I thought I was going to several times over the last couple of months.
I don't see us splitting for anything. So
It's unique chemistry for definite sure.
Or here's a random question then for you.
Yeah.
Vocal wise,
Huh?
on your guys, at least your recorded music, I've noticed, you have several different styles you go in.
Sure.
Is that something you do to, like you mentioned earlier, keep it interesting for yourself? Or is that, how do you decide how you're going to sing a certain song?
I think for me with singing, every riff has a different feel. And I try to envision what I'm feeling musically. And so, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. I wanted to do some kind of crossover. I mean, because with death metal, I was all growling and screaming and just being just dirty nasty. And I wanted to step away from that vocally because I have so many vocal influences that I wanted to do some clean singing, throw a growl in here and there, but primarily just cater to the song as it is. What does this song need? What does this riff need right here? So vocally, it's based on what the feel of the riff is. And
Yeah, and what's really cool on this whole point that he's making is whenever I talked to James when we first got together and we were talking about this project, like I said, we weren't Severmind. We were just two dudes hanging out. I've known James since I was 4, grew up in the same neighborhood. But I said, man, there's a guy named Heath that can sing his ass off.
Yeah.
And James was like, I don't want to talk to Heath because he sings death metal. And I'm like, but you should hear him sing. So we got, and that's when I came to Heath and said, hey, man, we've got this going on. Do you want to come sing for us? It's not death metal. I want to make that clear up front, but you can throw in some growls and some cool shit wherever you want. But I knew his range is all. I mean, he can do so many different styles.
Well, he can growl the best.
So that's why I was like, I know who I want. Can we please go talk to this guy?
Yeah.
And we ran into him at Corrosion. I was like, hey, Fate's just tapping us on the shoulder here. I'm going to go talk to him. So that was the inception of that.
yeah, I could see James saying that because he used to come out to our caustic practices. So I knew James a long time too, since he was a good friend with you.
Yeah.
And he would come out every once in a while, and Derek would always tell me that he was just this phenomenal guitar player and blah blah blah. And we got a basic friend relationship through that venue. But that's funny you say that now because I've never heard that story. So this is
Well, yeah, and that's the whole. That's all he'd ever heard. So, and that's what James used to tell me, dude. I think the music's killer, but I just don't like the death metal vocals. Which that's cool. Whatever floats your boat, man. Some people do, some people don't.
If you look at the green disc and then you look at From the Ashes and then Imminent Misfortune, you can see the growth of him too, using all these different styles. Yeah. The Green Album was a lot more growly, less a little bit singing and harmonies.
Yeah.
And then the other one comes on, you get a little bit more singing, a little bit more harmony, and Imminent Misfortune, then you got full blown singing, growling.
Well, yeah. Plus now we got the backup vocals
Back
that have been
vocals and
added.
everything,
It's,
so,
it
I mean,
keeps
it's
it
limitless
That's-
for him. He can
It's growing.
he can imagine what he wants to, and it takes shape. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that's well put. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things too that we've, as a band, we've been able to evolve too. Is that when I first joined the band, there was, of course it's been a while now, but I can't remember exactly. But it didn't seem like we really had any backup parts. I don't, not that I remember.
No.
And since then, I mean, we've kind of grown this and added the harmonies, and when and actually really it came about because when we recorded Imminent Misfortune, Heath went in and put these extra vocal parts on.
Yeah.
He layered these vocal parts out, and then when you're listening,
you want to go play them live,
right? So yeah, when you even as a band, we're listening to this record and we're going, if we're gonna make this sound like what it sounds like,
we got to do it.
we got to step up to the plate here and figure out the vocal parts for these three guys right here.
Right.
And that's kind of what that's kind of where we're at today. Is we've done that. We've gone back and added all the harmonies and all that kind of stuff, and worked on that on the Imminent Misfortune songs. And so as these new tunes take shape,
It's
and
gonna grow from there.
right,
too,
Heath
also.
will write those parts out and then give us. Well, actually, I mean, he'll write all of his parts out, and then we'll kind of know where our ranges are
Mm-hmm.
as to who will
Find the
pick up
spot. But
the other spot. And again, it comes down to he in the end he figures out what's the
Best
right
for the
thing
tune.
is for the
Yeah.
tune. So
Say, son, you got any more of that sugar sauce?
Yeah, I
Give me
do.
that. You gave me that. Where
kind of I'll tell you a story though about I don't know if you can reach that. One of the songs on Imminent Misfortune that we did. What's I think it's Truth Be Told. There's a growl that initially you wanted to omit at the beginning of the tune.
Yeah,
It's a real guttural thing, and I told him there's a story that one of my buddies who was in the original Iraq invasion or conflict that we had back in
Desert Shield.
the early 90s. Yeah,
Desert Storm or one of those.
he
yeah.
told me about. And because that song is really owed to
It
to the military and stuff.
Yeah.
And we had my buddy he was in the Marines, and he told me about stories of where he had to go in the sand, and they had dug these tunnels, and they would go in there, and you literally, it was dark in there, and you couldn't see, you didn't know what you were going to come across, and that many times there would be dead Iraqi soldiers in these kind of tunnels in the sand, and so you literally were in there in the dark, and you're just stabbing with your knife because you don't know, and he said when you would stab a dead guy, and they would release their gas for whatever, it would be kind of a like that, and so and I told Heath, I was like, dude, you got to put that part back in the song because this is kind of what this is about. I was like, dude, you got to put that. I love that. Yeah, it's kind of what that says to me. Is it's kind of a type of a thing. You got to put that back in the tune. So, it's all about knowing where to put it, I guess.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I learned something new. I'm going home.
2 weeks later, tracking.
Yeah. So yeah.
2 weeks.
Anyways,
There
little
was,
side story.
there was a lot of discovery in putting I Am together. And some of it was spontaneous, like on a lot of the backup tracks that I was hearing in my head the whole time we were writing. These guys had never heard until I laid them down on the CD, and they're like, "Wow, that's
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, that's
You
cool.
want that there?"
We got to sing that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's a final question. If you got anything else,
No, yeah, I think this.
I know of at least two guys, Philip Bruce and Chris Elder, that got your guys' band logo tattooed on them.
So what's
Yeah, they beat us to
That's
it.
some bad shit right there.
If there's other people, I don't know, but I mean, what's that mean to see what you guys created?
Man,
You've
that
done
kind
someone
of the
forever,
first
yeah.
time I saw it, it was a little. I was kind of like, "Holy shit!" I mean,
Taken back.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
Big time, big
did you
time.
mean to do that? But Philip and Chris are awesome,
Great guy.
awesome people, and they
Yeah,
are full on
beautiful people.
Severheads. They're two of the original. Eric McCarter, like I said, he goes to every show, but Philip Bruce and Chris Elder, God love you guys, man. We think you put that logo on your body, and that means more to me than, because I drew that logo 13 years ago.
Yeah.
On a piece of graph paper. It's still right there in the art room. And I'm like, I had no idea that we were still going to be talking about this shit. We've never changed it. There's been glows added, there's been color added, it's been beveled, it's been a couple of things, but it's the exact same logo every time. So when I saw it originally, it made me kind of sick to my stomach with the anticipation of now I've got to live up to that. It was like, holy shit.
Well, it just, like you said a little bit ago, and this isn't going to be over until someone dies, so it's tattooed on somebody now, you better not fucking break it.
That's right. Well, the music itself will be immortalized forever.
Yeah.
That's something that was quite.
It's somewhat shocking, but also gratifying, because it's like, wow, we touched somebody that much.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
They like our music that much. They want to put it on their skin, and I was kind of pissed off because I didn't do it first. But.
Well, we were originally called Mind Sever. That was where I came up with that name, and then was that you that said?
Yeah. So how about Severmind? Like Nevermind.
And we started googling it. No, it was MySpace. Oh, let's look on MySpace. Oh, there's nobody called Severmind.
MySpace.
There was no such
only 7 people on
my God.
There was no Facebook.
We literally had a list of freaking 100 names.
Oh man, Captain Threats and the shit fuck chicken. Big D and the Skinnies. We had tons of them. There's actually quite a few jokes.
Hey, I remember when I auditioned, they were like, "Yeah, man." Carried my stuff down and got in the van and was fixing to go, shaking their hands, got the phone numbers. By the way, the name's Severmind. That already
finally come to.
Finally, yeah. And then I didn't see a drawing of it. As soon as I saw the logo, I was like, "This is badass. Awesome. This is it."
I'll just say to your question. I don't know when it was the first time I saw. Well, there's also somebody that's got it on. Who's got it on? Help me out here. Besides Chris and Kevin. There's somebody else that's got it on. But I know the first time I saw that, I was so honored, but I felt slightly uncomfortable. Yeah. It's a little bit.
It raises the bar.
It does raise the bar. You definitely feel a pressure and an expectation. You feel like this incredible gratitude.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh, I can't. I'm so thankful that you feel that way about our music. But then at the same time, you're like, man, that's like something I gotta live up to, and that. I'm kind of uncomfortable.
I think about tattooing something on my body. It's something, like I might get my kids' names, or like the Leafs, the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can look around the room here and see I'm a little strung out on that. But it's something that's, to me, it was always, something that's you're going to have for the rest of your life. So it better be something you've loved for your whole life. So to have them do it out of the and Chris Elder, he was the first one that I was aware of that did it.
Yeah.
Sent that to me. I wasn't aware of it, and I think that day I sent you guys texts of that picture, going, "Holy shit!" Look what Chris did. So it was immediately shared amongst us, and then the return text started coming back with, "Is that real? What the hell?" Holy shit! So we had to really. At that point, it made me feel like I needed to step up my game and really second think everything I'm doing as far as writing parts, because I want it to be good enough for somebody that's got a tattoo on their body. So that was a huge eye opener to me of the influence that you have on people.
Mm-hmm. It's not something that I thought about ever happening with something I was involved in. I'll say that.
Yeah.
To be honest,
it took it to a different level.
Yes, heavy impact. It was really heavy impact when you've impacted somebody like that. That it touches them. The music touches them that much. Again, these guys.
But both of those guys are actually a little fucking crazy. They are, but it's the good kind of crazy. It's not the crack crazy. It's the good crazy.
You're all right, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Love you guys. Love you guys. And we love you guys, man.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
really
Say
do,
that
man.
about you guys.
Right
Yeah,
on.
you guys have
Thanks.
helped so much around here. Just the whole vibe changed.
Throwing our
Under
name out
Underground.
there and appreciating what we do. Just
Really
we can't thank you enough.
Yeah,
You're
well,
welcome. Thank you.
It's easy to get behind it if you love it. So,
Yeah, yeah. That's
like I think I told him, or I mentioned it on a podcast a while back. I think we probably said your name more than anyone but Metallica, probably.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Wow.
That's good
Yeah,
company.
wow.
Well, you guys are set up for 2:00 this Saturday to get the Severmind tattoos.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
That's good.
I'll
We're
do it right
next.
back here. Cool, man. We appreciate you guys'
Yeah,
time.
thanks.
Yeah, we hope we didn't rattle on and prattle
I was
on.
going to say, yeah, we were kind
We'll
of
probably got a
long-winded.
few
I'm
listeners
sorry.
out there snoring. But
It's always good to have people talk. You know, we get set down at some of these, and you got to egg people on. And
So
takes
let me
them 30
flip the
minutes to say
script on
something.
you. So 2017, you guys have hit the century mark. What's
What's
your
for you guys?
highlight that
Yeah.
you've had
Oh,
in
yeah.
the year
That'd be
2016? What's 2017 going to bring to the table?
Oh, I don't
You're not
no
used to
idea.
this, are you? See what
Yeah.
this shit feels like? I'm gonna snap. Yeah, turn it to crack.
Well, you know,
2 weeks.
obviously, the big James Hetfield interview's coming up. No, just kidding.
Oh, shit.
Shit.
yeah.
We always joke about that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
My favorite one, probably of 2016, was Reed Mullen from Corrosion Conformity,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh wow,
and
No, that's
just
good.
that's
we just hung out outside, sitting on the steps by the Brady for like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
No way.
that was insane. Because it's like a guy that I listened to since I was a kid.
right.
And we're just, sitting on at like midnight in downtown, sitting on the steps somewhere, and I was like, holy shit, And like Crowbar, that was insane. That was really cool.
You guys have had, that's what I say. I mean, it started out with, oh, these guys are doing a podcast. How cool is that? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, they talk to who?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that's,
Yeah,
that's
the last quarter has
Chris
been
Broderick too.
yeah, you guys are
Yeah.
really
You know,
making some headway,
has
man.
gone way, yeah.
Leaps and bounds.
So 2017, big
Well,
news. You guys starting your own project? Can I open up for?
He might be.
Are you gonna get
talk
back
about
into
it.
music?
Huh? Oh, well, me and Eric Reese, who I used to play with in Zen Hipster a long time ago, we're thinking of trying to do something again because that guy's such an amazing guitar player, and he needs to be out and playing, and people need to see him because
Let's get some shows set up. bud.
that guy is just he's just insane. He's too good to be in his living room, and I want people to see him again,
He plays like 15 different instruments. He's like the Prince of Tulsa. Wow.
Oh, he's like
He plays what?
Like 15 different instruments.
Oh yeah, I mean
Ian
he's-
Anderson from Jethro Tull, one of those genius savant kind of.
Yeah, it's like I remember back in the day we were recording one of our CDs, and somebody said, "Well, a sitar kind of sound would be good for this part." We're like, "Well, who's going to play that?" And we're like, "Eric, give him 15 minutes, he'll have it mastered because that's how."
Wow.
He doesn't have any fingers on this hand. He can play piano, and I mean, it's insane. He holds the pick with his little nubs and just. I mean, I'm serious. It sounds,
Wow, man, that's
but
impressive.
it's just.
But what's cool about that is that he didn't give up.
No,
Because how many
yeah.
people out there could go, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and he's too good to to be doing I mean, nothing against cover bands, obviously, but he's too good to be doing that kind of stuff. So I want.
Is that what he's doing now?
Well, that's what he did for a long time. He's not doing anything right now.
Okay.
But
Well, I look forward to hearing it.
yeah, so I mean, it might take a while because we're both pretty big procrastinators. But I want to try to do something.
You guys
I'd like
get
to.
together tomorrow.
We actually
Tomorrow.
are. That's it. Tomorrow is the first one. Yeah.
Blow him
So
off for
we
2
shall
weeks.
see.
Well, don't let it conflict with the Severmind tattoo shit I got set up.
Okay.
So you were in Zen Hipster, is that right? Really?
Yeah.
That was cool because he came in here one day with Kevin Graham and he looked up there and he's like, "Oh, that's a flyer from one of our shows." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, kick ass!" That was when we were in Gut Wrench back then. So.
Wow.
Yep.
That's cool.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. That was those were the days. I
Those
don't-
were the days.
don't really
when
remember a lot
Well,
of
if
it.
you need a name for it when you get there, maybe Hen Zipster. See,
There
it's
you
got
go.
that oaky feel. It's got little hens
Or
running
Mind
around
Sever.
with zippers.
Yeah.
Mind
Mind
Sever. There you go.
Or take that shit.
I like cohesive mind.
Cohesive.
Cohesive mind.
2 weeks in a crackhead.
Oh man! We need to write that into a song.
It'll be there pretty
Damn
soon.
crackhead bass players.
Are you guys gonna do? And I know you may have done this last year, but I don't know. The media tent out of Rocklahoma.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even try for it last year
Really?
because we just set up like 6 or 8 interviews on our own.
Yeah,
That's bad.
So
you ought to.
I figured I'm gonna try for it this year, but
Yeah.
it just
It's pretty cool. We walked in there last year, and the Eddie truck's down there. Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, we were live. I mean, yeah, we walked in there. I mean, you know what? Let's face it. I mean, you know, we were. I was pretty awed whenever we, Sunshine got us hooked up and had us driven back there. We get back to the. I mean, we're driving back there, and we're seeing all the. I mean, we're seeing all the shit. I don't know how else to describe it. I'll just use my musical term of seeing the shit. There's just, you're like, whoa, that's all cool. And then we go back into you go, and then you go back into the tent, and you're like, and there is Eddie Trump.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit.
Yeah, this shit just got real.
Well, I was like, I was like, oh, wow. But there was, I don't know, there was probably like 8 to 10 different tables that were set up back there.
Mhm.
I mean, to me, that's, the first thing I thought, that should be right up your guys' alley, is that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you go about submitting that from your end. I mean, I don't know that part of the business, but I would for sure think
you
that.
just fill out an application form type thing online.
Really? Is that what it is?
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they have like different levels of, like regional stuff or
Yeah, they do,
podcasts
'cause
or
there's people
magazines
from
and like
Arkansas.
bigger radio stations
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
KNAC was
Yeah.
out there. I mean, it was.
Yeah.
It was not a. There were not games being played. I mean, it was a real deal. But
Yeah.
and you guys got 100 fucking shows under your belt.
Yeah.
So,
No shit.
hey, you got some clout. There's some credentials right there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I've been
Absolutely.
waiting for this so I can put it in when I submit this to like bands and stuff and touring acts. At least now I can say with 100 plus episodes.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
It sounds better than 80 plus episodes.
Oh,
it
yeah.
just doesn't feel finished. does it?
Hit that triple digit mark.
Absolutely. I just think that would be awesome for you guys. I mean, that would be fantastic to see you guys doing that, out there for how many days is it? Well, it's 3 days
3
plus
days.
plus
4 days.
the pre on the. I don't know how they do the pre, but yeah, that'd be awesome for
Yeah.
you guys. I think.
Yeah,
I don't see any reason why.
If we do, can we come interview with you?
Yeah.
Well, of
Can you
course.
sign? I want some autographs and stuff.
Definitely.
Keep up the good work, fellas.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We'll do. Thank you.
Awesome. Was what musicians do for music. I mean, as redundant as
Mhm.
overstated as that sounds, you guys are like right there in it. I mean, you're doing as much to perpetuate the music scene in Tulsa and this whole
Yeah, yeah.
surrounding area.
Oh, yeah.
As any band in town, and I think you guys, I think of you guys as brothers. I see you coming, it's like, oh, fucking, there's Trent and Jason, man. That's
Yeah.
cool. It's not one of those, oh, man, there's Trent and Jason.
Yeah, one night.
I gotta go there and hobnob with these jackasses.
Thanks, man.
It's the real deal,
Well, yeah, I think
You're a
the thing-
vital part of the scene, really.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that I look forward to the release. Each release of the podcast. So I think that's kind of where the separation is. I'm not much for. I'll be honest. I'm not much for the some of the mainstream. I'll say radio, so to speak.
Right.
But I look forward to your guys' releases because there's a lot of people that I want to hear
Their stories.
talk.
Yeah, we'd like
their
to be
stories.
touted for the
Yeah.
200 episode. We'd like to just go ahead and put our name in the hat
Bam.
now.
Yeah.
When that happens, we'll reconvene.
It's been right a little over a year and a half, so I guess that would be 2018.
Well, we should have another CD out by then.
Hopefully
We'll
be
still have the
talking
same
about
4
that
new
at
songs.
Yeah.
We'll play that
We
one
can pass
for you
that
all
one
over
spot.
again.
Yeah. The 2018 version of Head Case with the
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Now we rewrote this. We had to go back and
It's got a
redo
different bridge.
it. We had to
Change 2 notes. You'll catch it if you're into the band.
Now we're going to record it.
Yeah.
Next CD is going to be called 2 Weeks. Yeah, and a crack.
Yeah.
2 weeks of crack.
There you go. There you go.
That's
Start working
our.
on the artwork now, man.
No, I've already got it. I've already got ideas running as
Yes.
we sit here.
That's one of the things. We every now and then we come up with some goofy shit, and I'm like, man, that should just be our punk band pseudo name thing.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks at a crackhead, we should write 4 songs that are like.
And we can open for ourselves.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Somewhere out there's somebody that's going to tattoo that 2 weeks.
We'll dress up in masks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you want to see?
That'd be more like plumber cracks.
Yeah. Just gotta use some crack. Yeah. Surely there's got to be a punk band named Plumber Cracks.
No, you would think so. I mean, you know. Shit.
If not, we're going to start one.
Crack.
Oh yeah, well thanks again, man.
Yeah, thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh, it was awesome, dude.
I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming and letting us be
Very much.
100.
Thank you very, very much.
Well, that's
Appreciate
the
it.
benchmark that we'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I say, I was there.
Thank you, man.
Well, there you go, Derek, Stacy, Heath, and Chris from Severmind.
That's right.
Thank you to them for taking the time out. You know, they brought us over to their practice. You know, we got to see, we didn't really talk about that beforehand, but we saw, you know, the last part of their practice. They were going through one of their new songs, and they were also kind of writing another new song before that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool seeing that process. And I remember something else that you mentioned I wanted to bring up was, you know, in this couple episodes ago, we had on Chris Green from Taiketo,
Yeah.
and we brought up sweep picking
Yes.
because he, you know, has some lessons online with that kind of stuff, which is, you know, I don't play guitar, but you said it's really freaking hard to do. And when we were over there, Stacy Lane was doing it.
Yeah, we were practicing. Shit, listen to me. They were practicing. We were at the practice, and a song they were doing, Stacy just whipped right into some sweep picking, and it made my head explode. And I didn't really go off because I didn't want to fanboy out, because my skills as a guitar player is nowhere near that. So it was just super impressive to see that. Yeah, that was insane. And, you know, just once again, this is how badass this band is, you know?
Yeah.
And it's something, you know, I wanted to mention earlier is, you know, when we started this, I knew some names. We knew some names, Scott and Jana. And again, we want to thank them, you know, Rocket Science, Down for Five, Octane Blue, those guys. You know,
being our first guest.
Yeah, our first guest. I mean, that's so special. But, you know, I'd been out of the loop from the metal scene, from the music scene, the rock scene in Tulsa for a while. And we just kind of Googled it and just jumped in, and we just went to a random show of Driver and Severmind and Blackwater Rebellion. And, that's just kind of how we jumped into it, and to find these bands and how amazing they are, and how quick that Severmind took to us. I mean, it was just, it was insane. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, badass how this has came about. And so, yeah, I mean, just, I'm rambling here, but you get it.
Well, yeah, it's a good thing. But yeah, like, it was cool to be able to see him going through those new songs because, of course, they're
Yes,
great stuff.
definitely.
So it's exciting what they talked about. Hopefully getting in and recording an album in 2017, and you know it'll be good because that's what these guys do.
That's right. And, you know, we heard like a song and a half or so of new stuff.
Yeah.
And we don't want to say much, but we want to say that you motherfuckers will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
This is some good shit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, normally this is the part where we talk about all the crap you should listen to, but we did that for 20 minutes a minute
we
ago,
went over
you know,
it.
before the interview.
Yeah.
So once again, you know, 99 previous episodes, you can go to soundcloud.com/Thunder-Underground. Check all those out. If you're here because of Severmind, episode 11, way back, we had on Stacy and Derek, and you kind of mentioned in the interview whenever you brought up for Heath and Chris to talk about their backstories. Well,
Yeah.
Stacy and Derek did that in episode 11 in detail. So if you want to go back and check that out, please do.
Yes.
And while you're doing it, check out all the other stuff. You know, we've got tons of stuff there. You can get to it through thethunderunderground.com as well. Facebook.com/Thunder, The Thunder Underground. We're on Twitter at THNDRUNDR Ground. We're on YouTube at The Thunder Underground. Click subscribe. We put up videos every once in a while with reviews. We've had reviews of the new Metallica album, the new Avenged Sevenfold album, a Black Sabbath concert, some Metallica songs, other stuff like that. And now that we're at 100, hopefully we're going to start putting more of these podcasts on YouTube as well, so you can find them that way.
There you go.
Then we're also on Periscope, and Jason's on Tinder at the Thunder Underground.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. No,
I'm on Fat Tinder.
The email address is thethunderunderground@gmail.com. You can email us for your music, reviews, if you want us to play your songs, if you want us to interview, whatever.
That's right.
That's the place to go. Well, do we got anything else we want to go into for this?
Yeah, we got T-shirts and koozies.
Oh, yeah.
Merchandising.
Right.
Just like Mel Brooks says in Spaceballs.
Exactly. All killer. Hashtag all killer, no filler.
That's right.
Right there on that.
Exactly.
Because that describes the bands we have on this episode.
That's right.
This episode and any other episode.
Hit us up.
Yeah. Well, the one other thing I wanted to mention was that I realized the last episode we forgot to talk about the Steve Vai concert. And,
really,
that we went to. We didn't, usually we talk about that kind of stuff on the podcast. But at the beginning of this interview, Stacy and you are talking about it.
Yes.
So that will count as our talk about Steve Vai. And we will mention coming up probably later this week, we will have an episode that is the best of 2016.
That's right.
The 16 best albums of 2016 as picked by Jason and Trent.
That's right.
That's your final word. That's all you need to know. Something tells me that, no, I don't have a joke. I was going to try to joke about Metallica, but I love the album, so.
Thanks, Dick.
Right? And we've also got an episode with Tony from Battlecross.
Yep.
We've got an episode with Greg from Allegiant coming. And we should have an episode with the Normandys coming soon as well.
Yes.
So be on the lookout for all this.
Some Tulsa punk.
Yeah. Great stuff. They've got a great new album out and a great new video as well. That's enough. This episode's probably like 4 hours long by now, right?
Hey, that's okay. We do what we want.
Right. Thanks again to Stace, Heath, Chris, and Derek from Severmind. And until next time.
There's a story for you.
We'll smoke out.
Got that turned on?
He probably does. No.
Thunder Underground, y'all.